This is Link to the Cast, your weekly dose of video games and nerd culture ephemera available everywhere. Good podcasts are sold. I'm your party host, Dave Ryan, joined by the full complement plus one this week. Firstly, he is the handsome conduit. He is the fun employed Mark Robinson. How are you, my friend?
You missed award-winning game developer Mark Robinson,
Yes,
but
true.
Oh,
Hey, look, I threw that into a wedding speech, so that you
that is,
get
do you know
that.
what? That is true. And in
Yeah.
fairness, more people will have heard that speech than probably will hear this podcast. So you know what?
Mark,
I'll,
how have
I'll
you
give you that one.
Mark, how have you been this week? Feels like a pretty long week since the
It's
last
it's
episode.
it's been fairly lengthy. Like as you get
Pretty
older, you
busy.
feel like the time actually gets shorter. But oddly enough, for us, it's actually extended quite a lot. Yeah, no, it's been an interesting few days of kind of like professional stuff going pretty well, personal stuff being a disaster, and just kind of just trying to figure out life, like all in a few
Yeah.
days. It's been really interesting. Yeah, yeah. But no,
Joining
I'm all
us.
good. I'm all good.
Yeah. Good to hear. Joining us as well, we have Mr. Chelsea, the Roman Reigns of audio, Jack Lazell. Jack, how are you this week?
yeah, not bad, mate, not bad. Wait, you got married this year, Dave? Is that?
I did. I
Yeah.
did. Got married and had a child. It's been it's
Poof.
been it's been a bit of a year.
Yeah. Now,
All in 7 days. Like that's you work.
I
Don't work
know.
like the
I
clock, Dave. I
know.
tell you.
yeah,
Yeah.
you
Well, you
fuck
see,
Craig David because
the
you've
thing that
really achieved it in
yeah,
7 days.
the thing was after last week I watched this videotape and after I watched it it said I only had 7 days left, so I had to squeeze it all in.
I
So you
see.
may hear me get raptured by a ghost child from a well midway through
Yeah.
this show, and I just say just keep on going with the
And
program.
then, but the only ring in your life now is the one on your finger for real.
True.
So,
Hey,
yeah.
here he is. Here he is.
Also, don't you have one of those ring cameras?
I do. I
Yeah.
do.
Can you just check in and watch that live whenever you want?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know
That's
why, but
that's that's the gimmick. That's like
yeah.
otherwise it's just a doorbell, mate. Like
I don't know why, but genuinely, if I had one of those and I was in like, because I was in Italy a couple of weeks ago, in 2023 to keep up the gimmick, I'd just be watching outside my house every now and then, just be like, cool.
yeah, you do for like the first week, and then you do like every time you pass the camera, you do bits because you
Mm,
know that like it's gonna like do a notification to you and to your partner. And yeah, that wears thin real quick. We've had it for a couple of years now. I'm out of bits, guys. I'm sorry.
I often wonder like how many ring cameras, just when I'm like walking the streets of my hometown that I'm just captured on, and how many
Yeah,
angles
fair for
there
you
would
because
be of
like the
me.
sensitivity on them is like literally like the end of my driveway. I could get you like a greatest hits album of my elderly neighbor scratching himself as he walks to his car. Uh,
I'm
Maybe
gonna
give
have to
that to him
drive
for
up to.
Christmas.
I'm gonna have to drive up to Newbridge sometime at like 2 o'clock in the morning and give you like the next time you're looking through the reel of it, and you're gonna be like, "Is that Mark? What the fuck's he doing?" And just
Mark really
Just
I'm
needs a
going to do
hobby.
that, and it's going to freak Dave out even more.
That
Garrett
will.
is going to
That
get on an
will.
intercontinental flight just to fuck
Yeah,
you
yeah,
over,
yeah.
Dave.
especially
Speaking
if
of
you can be
which,
like upside down while you do it as well. Find a way
yeah.
to do that.
Speaking of
Just
which,
dangle from the ceiling into the camera
Yeah,
shot.
yeah.
we will move to the nexus of humanity himself, Extreme G, Garrett Kidney. Garrett, how are you? As alluded to just there, on the other side of the world right now.
Yeah, I'm in Didgeridoo land.
Yeah, you sent yourself to Australia in the last week.
Yeah, it was actually
Crazy.
it's a prison sentence. Don't tell anybody, but
They've
they've shipped
reinstituted the
me
prison
off.
colony.
Yeah,
On the
they're like
behalf of
we
my
need to
people,
send
I'm
all
very
these
sorry.
Irish down there, and I'm stuck here forever or for a
Do you
year.
find the thing like there was definitely the thing about 10 years ago after like that huge wave during the recession of Irish people our age going over and like
Isn't that just every year
Irish
at this
people
point, Dave?
but Irish people reporting that like they were being treated really badly over in Australia because look, I know of all the people I know that moved over that initial wave, they're not the people I would want representing our fine nation.
I apologize for us every so often as well. I'm like, listen, I know we don't send our best and brightest out here. I'm
Yeah, yeah,
like, I think because I'm not in that age bracket, I don't like people don't immediately clock me as a potential menace to society.
yeah.
But I do like, yeah, I know we're
To
kind of
be
assholes. It's kind of terrible. I'm so sorry that we send you like our worst, most annoying, drunk, annoying people.
To be fair, you don't give off the energy that you're made of cocaine and headbutts. So I think
Mm.
they'd allow you. Not
It's
that you
just headbutts
don't.
with me, to be
It's just you
fair.
don't give off the energy. You're deceptive like that.
I mean, in fairness,
I
that beard
headbutt.
gives off the energy. Like that's a mighty fine beard you're rocking these days.
I headbutt for the love of the game, not due to any like substance I'm on. It is
No
purely for
like
the love of
performance.
brain trauma.
No headbutt enhancing drugs needed here.
No.
Um, but yeah, how is life down there? As Dylan Moore once said, located 3/4 of a mile from the surface of the sun.
It's not great. It's like they're like, oh, it's a nice summer's day today, and I'm like, it is hotter than it has ever been in the history of the Irish state ever. I've looked that up. Our hottest temperature is 33 degrees.
Uh,
Yesterday here, it was just 37. It was just a casual 37.
Ew.
Uh, Despite my lack of being built for it, it's nice. It is pleasant to be like, even on the depths of winter, it's freaking 12 degrees. And again, they're like, oh, it's cold today, isn't it? It's like, no, it's actually quite pleasant. What are you
What's
talking
How
how's
about?
dare you?
how
You,
how's the
you know
whole
nothing
like
of the cold.
how's the whole gimmicky thing with like everything there that wants to kill you? Is that true? I mean, you're still alive, so I appreciate that, but that's always been one of my reservations about ever
That's
going to
because he
Australia.
headbutts
Other
everything.
than, well,
Yeah, I
yeah,
do.
but avoid
Every
doing
creature
that.
that comes within a square mile of this
Just
house, I headbutt with my skull,
just fucking
rather than something
loafing
else.
scorpions.
I haven't seen like anything dangerous. Like there's the odd spider, but I've never seen like one of those kind of spiders that you'd be like, oh my God, that spider's going to take my life. It might be because like we have a bird's nest outside our house, like literally in the porch of the house that the people we're renting it from is like that's like the one thing they told us when we moved in, don't touch the bird's nest. So
Yeah,
maybe the
because the
birds are
birds will
keeping
kill you
away.
as well.
No, they're nice birds, except when they get defensive and start swooping, which is a thing that happens a lot here, and it's not an Irish phenomenon as much. If you go for a walk in the spring in Australia, a bird will nearly certainly attack your head, and it is a distressing event when it happens.
You're not disproving my point, Garrett. I have to be honest.
So yeah, despite the fact that I started that sentence being like, oh, no animals attacked me, I'm like, oh, besides that moment of trauma when a bird tried to mangle me.
I mean, in fairness, I had a seagull attack me on Grafton Street once, so like it's just a thing they do.
They're hideous
Seagull.
creatures, birds.
Yeah.
Garrett versus
Oh.
birds. That's the fucking feud of the year so far.
The birds are
Rounding
winning, Jack. I'm not going to beat the birds. I can't fly.
Yeah.
Rounding out
That's
the
true.
panel and joining us today for some very important chat. It's of course the Wogan of our time, Limerick's favorite son, a fellow married man now. It's Barry Murphy. How are you, Barry?
I'm not too bad, Dave. Yeah, we're part of the club now. It feels like it
Yeah.
was just yesterday you and I were
Walking down the aisle together.
walking down the aisle together. I was gonna say walking into parts unknown together to
Yeah.
decide last year's game of the year, and it's been what a turbulent 365 days it has been since we did that. But yeah,
They're gonna
I'm doing
say they're gonna say it feels like just yesterday that we took each other on a date for wings and a live lefty podcast recording. Who would have known that
yes. Oh yeah.
women would agree to marry us after that?
Yeah, certainly not me. But yeah, we've had a crazy year. We both got married. You welcomed a baby into the world. I comparably built my first PC. I mean, it's been a very
All
emotional time for all of us.
all important milestones, really.
All important. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, doing good. I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, I imagine there's just as many teething problems with a new PC build as there are with a child.
Well, I mean, it took me about 3 hours, because I was very slow. I was very nervous. I was sending 100 texts to Sean McGee for advice along the way. And then got it all put together in the case, closed the case, open up the very last box to plug it into the wall. It's an American plug that I bought from a shop in this city. So I don't know how they got that. But, other than that, it went okay.
So you didn't employ the Mark Robinson method of building a PC and then telling Sean McGee after the fact in order to give him perhaps a stroke.
No. I was very caught. He picked every single piece of that to his credit.
Yeah.
And listen, if the man lives up to the gimmick, because it fucking works great, and I'm delighted with it, So yeah, the rest is history.
Excellent. Well, gentlemen, we're here to wrap up the year in 2025. We'll be doing it a little bit, I know, a lot different than we usually would,
Condensed
because
is a word I might use.
We are not currently all locked into a house in Tipperary with upwards of 2 days to spend in front of microphones. So it will be kind of a whistle stop tour of 2025. And rather than thrashing things out, we may get to some categories later on in the show and kind of award our own personal faves in each one. I think it will become clear to listeners throughout proceedings there are wildly varying levels of who has played X, Y, and Z or who has played anything. Um, and yeah, we'll just see how it goes. Before we do that, let's kind of, get our stretches in and talk about the kind of wider pop culture things maybe we've been watching a little bit. Barry, you've got a huge list here, so that's where I want to go first. What are
Yeah.
some of your highlights this year?
Some of the highlights. I mean, I think some of the obvious ones I really like. One battle after another. I think is probably my fave of the year so far as the movies go. Really spectacular. But I think it's been I think it's been a really good year in general for movies and TV. For some
Been a
reason,
lot of good kind of original
yeah,
screenplays out there.
I mean, looking at some of my kind of bigger hits of the year, obviously, so you'd One Battle, but also Weapons, of course, was one of the big stories of the year, which I really loved. It's been so long since I chatted to you guys about this. Dave, did you watch what was the first one? Talk to Me? That Australian A24 thing with the
Yeah, so I
hand.
watched the first. I watched the first one. Yeah, with the hand, and then this
Yeah.
kind of movie that looks like a sequel, but
Yes. So then Bring Her Back was those directors' next thing, and
Yeah.
I think it's even better, and I think it's
oh wow,
I think it's even nastier. I think it was an extremely rare film for me where I was watching it going, oh man, this is a lot even for me. But again, another great, ambitious, like original movie. And Sinner is obviously one of the big hits of the year for sure. In that
man.
regard, a great cinema experience. Yeah, a lot of fun stuff. And even some of the bigger kind of franchise stuff hit quite well. I loved Superman. I came out of Superman with that spring in my step that maybe the blockbusters are going to be okay. Kind of a mixed bag from Marvel. Conversely, I mean, I thought
I enjoyed Fantastic Four a lot.
I liked Fantastic Four.
Yeah. I think it's like it felt far more like what they should be doing, that it didn't feel quite as much like everything else. It had its own little kind of vibe going, and it felt, even though it will play into things happening next year, it did feel a bit more self-contained than a lot of the movies had. And it just feels like maybe a direction they need to go where it's like, let's just let somebody make a thing.
Yeah.
And see what happens.
Yeah. I enjoyed that quite a bit. I enjoyed Thunderbolts as well. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yes.
Captain America was terrible.
Captain America was pretty
so bad.
fucking rotten. It was pretty fucking rotten.
Have you ever seen a movie that more transparently, like, oh, now we've entered the entire 2/3 of the movie that was completely reshot?
Yes,
there's about an hour where you're like, okay, maybe we're on to something. No.
I completely forgot that film came out this year.
I was thinking the same thing, man.
That was back in February.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
It kind of helps this year that this is the year that you're allowed to completely give up on Marvel television as well.
Yeah.
Like all those Disney Plus shows, Ironheart, who the fuck knows what that was about? I don't think anybody on Earth watched it. I liked Daredevil, but like it wasn't essential.
Hey, I did watch it, and I was on the floor, and not in a good way. That's like they cast Sacha Baron Cohen as Mephisto.
What?
Yep.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Oh,
I still haven't seen that. I completely forgot that Daredevil show came out, and I loved the Netflix Daredevil. I absolutely
that's
loved
good.
it.
That's good. Yeah,
it was good.
I never got around to it, but yeah,
it's good. But it is when you watch it, you need to be. I wasn't aware of this. It's very much like like those shows that do a part one of the season, and it feels more like that. The cliffhanger at the end feels more like, and then part two of this same season will continue, but except we're gonna have to wait like a year.
Right.
I think it's next Christmas it's out.
Yeah, so maybe I'll wait until the next one comes out. But yeah, it's they've kind of had a weird year for the Marvel stuff.
The last Mission Impossible rocked, by the way.
I still haven't seen that either, actually. Yeah,
it's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
No one gets cleared out with a motorcycle in it, but it is pretty damn good. But yeah, DC by comparison, you want to talk about the major brands? Like I said, I loved Superman.
Absolutely.
And it'll always be special to me now because it's like the first proper new film I brought my son to
Mm.
because there was a baby screening of Superman, so that's how I saw it. His favorite movie of the year, by the way, in terms of the parent and child screenings, I brought him to the one he locked in on the most, Jaws.
Oh, cool. Okay,
So
good.
yeah, he
Good.
loves
Start him off
Jaws.
right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, Superman was great. I watched some of Creature Commandos, which was class. I need to get back and finish that. And then Peacemaker season 2.
Oh,
Even though it
yes.
was
Yeah.
quite divisive, I really loved it.
I really liked it. I really, really
Yeah.
liked it. Yeah. Yeah.
And then like literally just like maybe 2 days before we recorded this, the Supergirl trailer came out, and maybe the biggest compliment I can pay it. I quite liked what I saw in the trailer, but the thing I really liked about it is that all the right people are mad about it.
Yeah.
I love when a trailer does that.
Yeah. That looks cool. I'm looking forward to that.
What are they mad about, or is it just the things that would be obvious?
Woman.
Woman
Yeah.
woke.
I see. Great.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've really evolved in 2025, haven't we?
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, you notice a lot of us not recapping what the world in general has been like.
Oh no.
No.
No,
Dear God, no.
we got a time limit for this podcast. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Truly.
Hey,
Um,
Andor season 2 is incredible. I don't know if anyone else
yeah.
watched that show.
Yeah. Really like that.
Oh my God. Like, it's just such a good show. And I feel like it's not gonna get maybe the audience that that it deserves because of the Star Wars sort of, you'd think in the past Star Wars would boost something, people's interest
people are
in
worn
something.
out on that shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
People are done with it.
Yeah. I can't remember if it picked up before the end of the season, but I remember around the halfway point, I'm pretty sure there was some pretty dire reporting on how many, which is terrible. It's a terrible shame. But yeah, I think Star Wars is now a weight around your neck rather than a bougie, which is a shame because Andor was I think people have wanted almost since the original trilogy, which was it was a great espionage war sci-fi epic, really fantastic, really, really great.
It just feels like a homage to old school sci-fi. Like in the first season, the whole prison section and the prison escape bit of it is it just looks like something that was filmed in the 70s, basically. Like, it's incredible. And then this season, the whole bit on the I forget the name of the planet, but like, the French planet where they're like they have the resistance and stuff. That whole arc is just so incredible. And yeah, it paces itself really well. Like, the peaks and troughs are managed incredibly. And Tony Gilroy, the guy that wrote it as well, was just like, yes, some of this stuff is happening in the world. Yes, this is me commenting on it. Fucking deal with it, which I loved as well. So yeah, really, really good stuff to watch.
A really fascinating, strong direction for Star Wars. Anyway, what's up next? No, Grogu, don't use the Force on that lever. No, Grogu, don't do that. I'm fucking Boba Fett, but not actually Boba Fett, bro. Did anyone persevere with the Mandalorian through to the most recent? CGI
Barry's
Luke was my out point,
Barry's legendary hatred of a Star Wars character, it's one of my all-time favorite bits.
I'm trying to think, did I play a Star Wars game this year? I actually didn't. No. Dang.
Should have played a Star Wars.
I should have played a Star Wars.
Yeah.
Two things I want to briefly touch on your list before I move on to ask the rest of the guys. The Rehearsal, where I'm kind of like, I haven't even watched season 1 of The Rehearsal, to my eternal shame. But I didn't know that the show was back, but I did at one point go, God, there's a lot of people online talking about Evanescence. What's
Best episode of TV? It's so good that like, because I didn't like The Curse, which was the show Nathan Fielder made between season 1 and 2 of The Rehearsal. So I was like, God,
Emma
Nathan
Stone,
Fielder might be
wasn't
washed. Yeah, I was just like, that show did not work for me at all. Like the whole like shtick of it being like awkward comedy, I never found any of it funny, and I didn't even find it that awkward. I was just like, it felt kind of boring to me, and so I kind of went into this being like, well, I really liked the first season of The Rehearsal, but that show sucked. So he kind of has to win me back over. And immediately, once you get the premise of this season of The Rehearsal, you're like, he is a fucking comic visionary and nobody is doing it like him. And then you get to the Evanescence episode, the Sully episode, and you're like, that is like, how do you even conceive of making something like that? How do you get to
I
the point where you make that as an episode of television?
Yeah, because I think even people who don't get Nathan Fielder will agree with that line you had. It's no one's doing it like him.
Mm.
There is no one like it's that peak kind of like reminds you of that like Tim and Eric Adult Swim kind of at its best mentality of just like I genuinely have no idea what's going on here and I can't imagine the demented mind that has conceived of it.
Yeah, because like there's a moment in that Sully episode where he is trying to embody the spirit of Captain Sully Sullenberger, and he goes into a very large room dressed as a baby to simulate what it was like as a baby. And it is the most like strange, surreal thing when he starts like sucking on a breast to simulate drinking the milk from his mother's breast, as presumably Sully did. Who knows? But like just like that commitment to the bit to go all the way on this thing, and then obviously the payoff of the episode. It's like the entire season is great, like top to bottom, but like that episode is like the pinnacle of maybe everything Nathan Fielder's ever done. And Nathan for You is like one of the best shows ever. So that's saying something.
The other thing I wanted to touch on your list that was kind of on my short list of things to talk about in my head is Pluribus.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a few episodes behind, but I'm really enjoying it.
Oh,
I'm really enjoying
it's
it.
it's so good. I really want to know what the people who kind of like know Vince Gilligan from hard-nosed crime dramas,
Yeah.
Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, what they think of like, oh, it's the new Vince Gilligan joint. I bet this is a searing,
Yeah.
But he was like an X-Files
real.
guy, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Before
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
like
yeah. That people that don't have that context.
it is
that's what
weirdly like a
I've been binging the Vince Gilligan written episodes of X-Files, like literally going through just his episodes in the last couple of months. And like you see all of the Pluribus DNA in there. Like, and he's weirdly the guy they would go to write funny X-Files episodes at one point, and
Yeah.
they're all great. They're really good. So you can see all that DNA.
Yeah, it's this show where like it does seem like I think they did a really good job of kind of like all the material around it was telling you what the show was like without telling you what the show was about. And then when you get into it, I think there it was an initial in that first episode, as much as it's a fucking great pilot, guys. Like it's the thing about it is he's definitely learned over the years because I think like famously everyone says it takes a while for you to kind of ruminate in Breaking Bad and it proper get its hooks into you.
Mhm.
I think Better Call Saul is a little bit better, but my God, has this man figured out a pilot now because it's a compelling piece of television. But there is that bit in the back of your head when you're watching it where it's like, does this feel like a premise for an X-Files episode that may within 3 or 4 episodes feel like okay we've stretched the bit out beyond its breaking point now, but I feel like the show, and I'm fully up to date now, I feel like the show has done a really good job of almost exactly when I think I'm settled into here's what's going on and here's the path that this show will go on. It doesn't do like a kind of, a Russo-esque swerve in a completely
No.
opposite direction. It's not like I'm watching, like when you used to watch Lost and it was like when that show was at its worst, it was just like wildly lurching between different half-finished ideas. It's nice where it's kind of one of those, it's a turn where it's like, oh, of course. Oh yes. Oh yes, I do want to understand how this would work in this world. And I think that the moment it really kicked into high gear with one of those is at the end of a recent episode when again I'm trying to dance around how far people listening or how far Barry might be, but when she investigates the provenance of the milk cartons.
Yes, I've seen that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's a moment where you're like, oh man, like this is class. But yeah,
I'm so
it's a really good show.
I'm so happy for Ray Seahorn. I think she's
Yeah,
such a fucking great actress, and I
yeah.
don't think she got anywhere near the level of recognition she deserved from Better Call Saul because she
And
was amazing in that.
it's great to see because like it's such a shift from like in Better Call Saul, like obviously it's horrible things are happening around and sometimes to her in that show, but
Mm.
she feels like in that show as almost like a source of humanity and hope.
Yeah,
and positivity relative to like the miserable fucking cunts that make up most of the rest of the cast.
Yeah,
Whereas in this, like that total shift of she is just a fucking
inverted.
miserable person.
Yeah, completely inverted. Yeah, but the show, like the sort of like you could like go so, and I'm sure there's like a million YouTube essays on this already, but you could go into so much detail about the art of like what it feels like to be depressed and lonely and like what that makes the rest of the world feel like around you, like just the way that that is so artfully woven into the science fiction weirdness of the show. I just think it's just the guy is just such a fantastic creator and writer, Vince Gilligan, and yeah, I
Any of you? Sorry, Jack, I didn't mean to cut you off. One.
no, go on, go on.
Oh, sorry. I was going to ask, any of you boys listening to the podcast, the accompanying podcast?
No.
Not yet, not yet.
I think if you like uh, Big Vince and his craftsmanship, he gets into the weeds in a fun way, not only in the writing but also like it's really ambitious, like production wise as well. Like they talked about in, I think, is it the second episode? Is it that the pirate lady episode where they have her fly the plane to Ray Seahorn's character? About how they had like that actress like learn to she is taxiing an actual plane in that scene. Like it's old school, ambitious. We've got a little bit of a budget. We're going to do some mad shit. TV production. It's really it's some really fun insights on it, and they talk to
I'm
things like crowd coordinators as well. Like they
that's
really get into the weeds on it.
I'm really like the coordination of the crowds when there are a lot of people there, but also like I'm somebody that's like I'm very easily impressed by when you shoot at a real location and you shut it down and it's only
Mhm.
one person on set on camera. You know, the 28 days later walking across the
Yes.
bridge, like that, like just because you're looking at it and it's like it's not visually impressive until you start thinking about the logistics that
Yeah.
went into I need to shut this whole area down and maintain an absolute silence
Mhm.
on mic. Yeah, it's a really fucking good show. It's a
Do you
really,
know what
really good show.
I kind of like about Apple is that they've given money to creators and it doesn't feel like they have expectations. They're just like, hey, we have a shitload of money. We're going to throw
Hmm.
it at talented people and we're going to give them a lot more artistic license than I feel like they kind of get on any other platform. And, you know, Apple is a big multinational, you know, billionaire corporation, blah, 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 capitalism bad. But at least the people running Apple TV are quite comfortable to give creators the license to do really cool shit.
Sure.
And that's true in so many of the Apple shows, I would say.
Too many. Some of they're almost too. You go through like the Apple TV library, and you're like, what the fuck is some of this shit? Where it's like star name attached to like a 4-season TV show you've never heard of in your life. It's like
Yeah.
Yeah.
fair play to you.
And most of them are pretty good that I've watched, to be
Yeah.
honest, Garrett.
Yeah. The word of mouth. I mean, you see on you know, on the shows is generally that it's of a really high standard. I think they are just trying to. I think they want to build a reputation as in the era of 10 million services and so much slop on all of them. I think they're slowly trying to build a base that if you pay your 10 quid a month, we have got the library for you. I mean, we have got it.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really enjoying that. I want to get to think. I still haven't gotten around things like slow horses and stuff like that. But
Slow Horses is so fucking good,
everyone,
Barry.
I really want
I've
to start it
started
too.
that. I've started it. Yeah.
Just incredible. Jackson Lamb might be my favorite TV character currently in operation. It just Gary Oldman. It just feels like they've just said to Gary Oldman, just be a disgusting old bastard for a lot of the time. Just imagine
What a
you're at
reach.
home in your dressing gown, farting, you know, drinking, smoking, just being a messy bitch, and he is incredible at that. So yeah, I highly recommend for Slow Horse. Slow Horses season 5 this year. Uh, I think a lot of people didn't like some of what happened in it, but there were so many hilarious moments. Like one of the funniest deaths I've seen in a TV show in years came in Slow Horses season 5 this year.
Um, I, because knowing his brand, his is usually the shortest list. So that's Mark. Is there anything we haven't hit on there that you watched in 2025 that you want to make note of?
I mean, I can tell you about all of the shadergraph tutorial videos in Unity that I've watched, but I don't think that
Please,
make
dear
for a
God, don't.
compelling listen. No, I think the only thing that I've watched that hasn't been mentioned here is Nosferatu, which was at the start of the year.
Oh,
Yeah.
Um, which I, apart from like giant vampire dong, which I was not prepared for when that pops up, like, it was pretty
Quite
good.
literally pops up. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That was pretty good, but otherwise I've been watching old Simpsons,
I
and
love
it's
the
the
idea.
like
It's like you watched one new movie, those you're like, all right, that's it for the year now.
yeah, honestly, I did see Sinners as well, actually, in fairness. But yeah, no,
Just
no, I
all vampires doing sex,
yeah,
and then
pretty
you're like,
much,
right, yes,
pretty
Grant.
much.
That's what cinema
I got a
is to
brand
me.
now.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I also watched like seasons like 1 through 7 or 8 of like old Simpsons, and I hadn't watched a lot of it since I was like in the last 20 odd years. I just haven't watched it, since the heyday of watching it on BBC Two. And there is something to be said for watching a show like The Simpsons as a kind of like late 30s individual, because you pick up on a bunch of things that I remember this joke, but now I actually understand like the context behind it or the reference behind it, because of it's kind of similar to like when I was watching the Animaniacs a couple of years ago, and it's like there are so many pop culture references that just completely would have gone over my head as a child. That's like now I understand it. Now I
Yeah.
have like
Because like you're talking like we were kids and it was people in their 20s and 30s at the time in the 90s writing pop culture references
yeah,
from like
exactly,
some were
exactly.
current at the time and some were from when they were growing up.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, and I always think of because like my son has started to stand up now. That's the stage we're at here, which
Got
is
his
very
nice
fun.
tight five ready, is he?
But I keep saying he's like a regular little Rory Calhoun, and I don't necessarily 100% get that reference.
oh God.
You know what I mean?
Brilliant.
But
Yeah.
yeah, Simpsons fucking
Yeah,
timeless,
that's
timeless.
that's pretty much it for me. So
Getting
yeah.
yourself ready for the Simpsons movie too, which is a thing we definitely all predicted
Oh yeah.
Mm.
and definitely are all excited about.
Mark, we said no controversial takes. Simpsons equals good. I don't know if you can be
Oh
saying
come on,
that
it's
these days.
spicy. It's
Yeah,
Oof.
spicy.
yeah.
Can I just ask? I feel like all you boys might enjoy the show to a particular degree, but Dave, have you watched any of Smiling Friends?
No, and this is like the second time we've both been on
I think
microphone and you've
I think
recommended.
probably a
Yeah,
year ago I probably asked you that exact same
yeah,
question.
yeah, yeah. I still haven't got
What a
round to it.
fucking show! Great show. 3 seasons. Every season has like 8 episodes and they're 11 minutes long. You could probably watch it all today. Well, maybe not you specifically because you've got that
Yeah,
going
yeah,
on.
yeah.
But
I've got some shit.
the hypothetical Dave could sit through it in a day. That's one of my favorite shows
The
of the
Dave
year.
of old could have
The
fit it
Dave of
all in.
old, yeah. But yeah, that's me.
Yeah. What about you, Garrett?
There's one that's on Barry's list as well that I want to mention, The Pit,
Pit.
which
Oh
Oh, I
yes,
haven't
is
got
yeah,
round
yeah,
to the pit.
yeah.
24, but a
it's
hospital.
well, no, well, it's Eeyore technically because it was meant to be an Eeyore spin-off, and it has Noah Wyle and it was made by John Wells, so it is literally in the Eeyore DNA. But you're right, it does have the 24 hour by hour structure. But
Legally dubious. So some people have argued, in fact.
yeah, but it feels like old TV in the most complimentary way
100%.
imaginable. Like this is a show from 2001 with all those sensibilities, all those like TV making instincts from a bunch of people who are just really fucking
A
good at
lot of
making
soft focus.
television. It's just like in terms of structure and in terms of like pacing and in terms of like characterization, it's all the kind of stuff you used to get from 4 TV shows a year, but then they canceled them all and you get it from one TV show every 3 years and 8 episodes of it. Like it feels like such a throwback to the kind of TV that has died in the streaming era, which is really funny because then like the HBO Max exec was like, this pit idea of like we don't blow the budget. We make a season every year. We might try some more of that. That seems like a good idea to dive deep into. But
A
I
Can I just
sustainable
say,
business model.
can I just say, Garrett, though, the reason that I guess a lot of people have stopped, like they stopped making these TV shows, everyone's just gone back and watched the old ones. Like everyone
Yeah.
went back and watched the old sitcoms and the old medical dramas and the old this and the old that, and everyone's like, "Oh, these shows are great." And then hopefully some of the people that went back and watched them are executives and they're like, maybe we should do more of this.
Is that chicken and
Yeah.
the egg thing? Is like, do they watch the old shows because there's no new shows, or do they
yeah,
do they not make the new shows because everyone's watching the old shows?
I think the execs are trying to figure out, okay, but like why does WB get $1 bajillion every year for Friends, but people wouldn't watch a new studio audience sitcom if we made it today. And I think the Pit is also trying to, it's like, okay, but it's a way better example of kind of like how they have successfully transferred that concept into 2025. It's simultaneously very more, so I keep on watching more, but it's also very intense. So I haven't finished it yet because I can't really binge it. There's a little bit too much going on for me to do that, but it is like really super.
It's like the bizarre thing for me is that like it's a gross show, as you said. It's very intense. It's in the like pit of an emergency room with a bunch of like exposed guts and broken legs and trauma and disaster everywhere, and especially as you get to the back half of the season, the end of the season. And I weirdly find it a comfort watch because like it takes me so far back to that kind of just comfortable good TV. It's because you know you're in good hands. Like you look at like John Wells' TV making history with like Eeyore and Shameless and a bunch of other shows. It's like it's just people who know how to make TV making really good TV, because it's not even like super innovative. As you said, the clock thing is from 24. It's a medical drama. You know, it's not completely reinventing that wheel, but it's just done so well. And I miss TV that's done so well, because as I said, all you get now is 8 episodes every 3 to 4 years. And I hate that as a structure. I think it sucks. And I think it's killed sitcoms in particular. And it's just nice to get like TV that just feels good in terms of, as like, well, it doesn't feel good to watch. It's upsetting to watch, but it just feels good to get that kind of television back in the rotation.
Jack, anything that we didn't touch on that you want to add at this point?
I'm gonna start sounding like a shill for big fruits. But I love the studio on Apple TV.
Oh yes, yeah.
I just think it's such an interesting pacing and delivery of a show. Like if you heard they were going to make a show about studio executives in Hollywood or whatever, you'd be like, oh, Hollywood is filleting itself again. But there's just a weird constant rhythm to that show where everything seems to be happening at 100 miles all the time, and there's like a really interesting like low jazzy soundtrack going on and everything, and you will be like, the first couple episodes you will just be completely knocked back in your shoes by the cameos. Like I didn't expect to see Charlize Theron like emotionally comforting Marty Scorsese because he wasn't getting to make
Scorsese.
a Kool-Aid movie. Yeah.
Can I say that maybe the loudest I have laughed at a thing this year was specifically the noise Seth Rogen makes when he is hit by a cap thrown by Ron Howard before they proceed to have the world's worst fight.
Oh, it's so good. And yeah, I just think like it's so well shot. That episode that's called The Oneer just honestly felt like, here, director of photography and camera operators, make this happen. We're going to film a whole half-an-hour episode of essentially what is a sitcom with one camera. And it's brilliant and so artfully done. And the blocking and actors and everything during that whole period, it must have been so difficult to do that, but it's incredible. So they're doing really interesting things with the camera, they're doing interesting things with the pacing, interesting things with the soundtrack. And at the heart of it, Dave, to your point, it's just fucking funny. Like every episode will have a moment in there where you'll just piss yourself laughing because it'll be done so well. And I think it's perfect from kind of where Seth Rogen is right now, is that he's still a very funny, very relatable comedic presence, but he's kind of moved on from like the frat boy to like, okay, now he's, you know, in the world of work and these are all the stupid, ridiculous, but he's still the same level of like insecure, unaware, not sure how to handle himself, but power hungry at the same time. So yeah, the studio I thought was very good, and a lot of the things that have already been mentioned I totally love as well. One battle after another, I almost feel like, you know, we just mentioned that, but that was such a great movie. I don't know if anyone has anything more to say on it, but it's, yeah,
I want
loved
to
it.
see the DiCaprio's character and Benicio del Toro's character like do a buddy cop movie.
yeah.
That would
little
be very
arc in
cool.
the middle of it was fantastic.
Oh, Benicio del Toro, just, yeah, he's so great, isn't he? In that, you know, maybe even just a whole show about him just being a karate instructor or whatever he was. So.
Really, really great movie. PTA knows how to make him. Who'd have thunk it?
One last thing that I forgot the other night, I decided to, because I'd never seen it before. I watched Terminator 3, and I tell you what, I already knew without seeing it that Dan Reichert's take that Terminator 3 was better than Terminator 1 was completely
Oh yeah.
fucking insane. But
Yeah, what the
now,
fuck?
but now having seen it, the most like fucking direct to DVD 200 million budget flick you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. What
what
was
a
the
piece of shit
argument that
film
like
that
that
was.
one scene where he's like firing a gun when holding a coffin over
Yeah,
his
which
shoulders?
which is a
Yeah,
very cool scene, but
yeah.
also what a fucking disaster of a film.
Oh,
Anyway, that's it.
two mid-budget comedies I just want to quickly mention because I feel like these are the sort of things that don't really get made anymore. The Roses, brilliant
I
movie,
didn't see that.
very
Oh, I
funny.
didn't see that. Yeah.
remake of um Remake of an old school movie similar, a husband and wife arguing kind of and divorcing across the movie, but it's just, yeah, acted so amazing. Olivia Colman is one of the best on the fucking planet, and I will stand on a box and shout that, and they'll have to stop me. Oh, and the other one is Roofman, which just great,
Yeah.
really good movie, one of those sort of like real feel good movies. Channing Tatum probably underrated for just how much of a natural, charismatic performer he is in pretty much any role you give him. He can be super silly, he can be serious. Just a very good actor, and
Yeah.
I just don't think like we used to get maybe 10, 15 of these a year. These sort of mid-budget comedies
Hmm.
that I just really like, that are easy to stick on of an evening. In your sort of 7 out of 10 category, where you can just turn your brain off, watch it, really enjoy it. Great actors that you've potentially paid maybe a lot of, but even so, like you get good performances out of them. And yeah, but both of those movies, I just feel like I hadn't seen Kirsten Dunst do anything in forever, and she was really good in it. So yeah, just those are two recommends of very, because we talked about a lot of high concept, high action stuff, and I just think you just want a nice time, just flick either of those two movies on, and you'll enjoy them.
I can establish now it's been out 2 years and it's been a this time of year tradition every year since it came out. Now, The Holdovers is firmly
Oh yeah.
ensconced as a have to watch it at Christmas movie. Just absolutely delightful from start to finish, that movie. And it is weird that a movie that is at times as miserable and sad as it is does feel so warm and so cozy. Really good. I was gushing about it to Jack by text last week when I rewatched it. About how I think like an all-timer put down as Wall saying that one kid was too dumb to pour piss out of a boot. Uh, that one is what I need to crack out in real life. But that's such a great little movie. One that kind of like bears rewatching, or if you haven't seen it before, watch it over Christmas. It's come to Netflix now, which is what prompted me to watch it so early. So it is very accessible now.
Do you know what one I thought? What I thought when I watched it is it has such John Hughes vibes. You know
Yeah,
how John
yeah,
Hughes just used to make a film that would just make you feel good when you would watch
mm,
it. You
yeah.
know, very just yeah. I mean,
I'm just
it
like
really grown
uh,
up Breakfast Club.
yeah, and I just like remain blown away that that was like the first thing Dominic Sessa had been in. Like
He
he's
was
he's just
incredible.
so good, such a fucking natural in that movie.
Mm.
Um, I then watched a couple of new things in the last couple of weeks. So one that I can talk about very briefly, it was a Nebula exclusive short movie called The Dinner Plan, which is the short movie by Patrick H. Willems, he of YouTube video essay fame. It's really good. It's a short film starring Griffin Newman, who hosts one of my favorite podcasts, Blank Check, as a guy attending a his boss's dinner party. His boss is John Hodgman. And he has just found out that he has a number of very severe food sensitivities, the worst of which is to tomatoes, and he is attending this dinner party at which all courses involve heavy amounts of tomato. And if he is to ingest any of this tomato, he will projectile vomit and pass out. And it is a weird way of, I was saying this to Jack, it's like it turns that kind of awkward guy attending dinner with the boss sitcom trope into genuinely like a horror movie slash thriller as you like you the tension that ratchets up about the various ways he tries to like because he does like a lot of us, and that's why I kind of said in my letterbox review, because Patrick H. Willems, like his mom is Irish, and I was just like, this man understands Irish culture because he has written this about a man who would rather like vomit and pass out, then make things slightly inconvenient for his host, which is the most Irish thing I've ever heard. So yeah, seeing the various ways in which he tries to get around eating tomatoes and try not to make things awkward while making himself come off like an utter fucking maniac in the process is really, really good. And also stars Zach Cherry as like his best mate from the IT department in this like unspecified office they all work in. Yeah, really good. It only takes half an hour of your time. Really, really good on Nebula. And then the other thing I watched last week is Wake Up Dead Man, which is the third Knives Out
Yes.
movie. And in many ways, I would say a return to form. I liked Glass Onion more than a lot of people. I think there's a lot of people that were quite down on Glass Onion, and look, fair enough. Um, I think there was a certain amount of the genie's already out of the bottle with that movie that like Knives Out works so well. Like it is a very well put together movie and well cast movie, but Knives Out worked so hard the first time because it was so unexpected, you know. And when you've seen the bit, it kind of made Glass Onion a bit more of a struggle. But I feel like Wake Up Dead Man went with that kind of. There are like there are some good bits of stunt casting going on in it, but I do feel it got back more to the like the intricate, clever puzzle box of a mystery being at the core of it. I do feel it kind of the second one, like Benoit Blanc is already a parody, but like in Glass Onion, he sometimes felt like a parody of a parody. And this, I think, feels more tonally back to the kind of the first movie in a lot
Mhm.
of ways. I think Josh O'Connor is fucking fantastic in it as the kind of the priest who's at the center of what's going on. Um, I think everybody, the only exception I think I have to the like, because in all these movies, even if you didn't like Glass Onion that much, I think the casting in them has all been tremendous. With the exception of in this movie, I really didn't care for Mila Kunis.
He was
She's
okay.
like the slightly like hard ass local like sheriff police officer that's investigating what's going on, and I just feel she was an absolute fucking dud in this. As we had said, Jack, when we were talking about it, it's like, well, look, it's Mila Kunis, like she's limited, really. Like she's not gonna give you what you need. Like
Yeah,
she can't really pull off the bitter, hard nosed local cop. And the other way you can go with that character is the kind of ridiculous, over the top, like Marge Gunderson and Fargo, kind of like just an eccentric, and she can't pull that off either. So you're kind of left with a void.
it doesn't help that you're surrounded by some of the best character actors that you could find as well, giving
Yeah,
amazing, interesting performances. Do you
yeah,
know what I liked about this, and I think what worked about the first one and what maybe didn't work about the second one, is that you could see like a lot of relatable everyday characters in the first one and in the third one, whereas in the second one it was just that sort of like hyper rich billionaire like back splash of the whole movie that kind of it fell a bit short, really. And then maybe he got too far into the sort of meta commentaries that kind of bring down a lot of stuff now, where it has to be sort of winking at you, like the whole scene where he gives his like dramatic reveal, um, is just a bit like he's staring and he's giving it to the audience rather than he's giving it to the other characters in Glass Onion. Whereas in this, again, I just thought it was done really artfully,
it's
especially with
weird
that
to
little
say.
Phantom of the Opera
Yeah,
on the organ
yeah.
that popped me so huge.
It's weird to say that like they've toned down Benoit Blanc because he's still essentially like Foghorn Leghorn the detective.
Yeah,
But
Especially
like
the way his entrance is set up in this movie, by the way, which
yeah,
is like
yeah,
literally praying to God that something can intervene and he fucking bursts
yeah.
through the
that's
door.
Benoit Blanc's music.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's weird to say that in spite of all that, it is like because you know that like the comedy rule of like the character must always escalate. So I just thought you'd be peeling Daniel Craig off the walls by the end of this one, but it is kind of like a little step down in
Mm.
terms of like full
It's more grounded,
cartoon from
yeah.
the second one. Yeah. Um, and yeah, the hairstyle is something as well.
Yeah. Did anyone get like real? I got real Matt Murdock vibes from the main character. Like, I
Yeah.
just that sort of like really, good fighter, doesn't really want to commit violence, but is trying to help the community around him. and it honestly felt like there were a lot of elements of Daredevil in this movie as well, which I don't know, maybe I'm seeing something that other people won't be seeing, but yeah, and I do really very
If
much
I
enjoy
would have been, I
Daredevil.
would have been out if Benoit Blanc, because I know who's behind this. It's the hand.
Yeah. Oh mate, if the fucking hand turned up and started like pounding on Glenn Close, then yeah, fucking 10 out of 10.
Glenn Close, by the way, phenomenal in
Yeah,
in
she
that
rules.
movie.
So great.
Absolutely
I mean,
phenomenal.
like, almost goes without saying, but she deserves her flowers for this movie.
Brolin, unreal as well. Like
Yeah, just
entering his full,
menacing.
Tommy Lee Jones, grumpy and annoyed at all the world's
Yeah.
era of his career, and I'm here for it. Um, right, okay. I suppose at a certain point we need to talk about video games, gentlemen.
Yeah, you
Uh,
started that by being like a nice little warm up. Let's talk about what we're seeing like 15 minutes later.
yeah. Let's do it. Let's do it so that Mark can finally talk about things as well. Um, Look, I had written down kind of like some of the heavy hitters of the year, and I think maybe we might touch on some of them before going down routes of like, personal uh, passion projects that we would normally have on Game of the Year. So, um, I'm just gonna start naming some games and see kind of like people jump on with their
Sure.
experiences of having played them. The first one I think I needed to put up because it just swept the board at the Keeleys recently is Clair Obscur Expedition 33,
Oh yeah.
which on the face of it, I have not had a conversation with the man yet, but feels like one of the more Garrett Kidney coded games of 2025.
Have not played it.
Oh my God.
What?
Whoa!
Yeah, haven't played it.
Holy
Because
shit.
like
The hot
I'm not gonna
takesman is
play.
back.
I'm not gonna play it on PC because I have a fundamental just mind break to playing games on PC. I'm broken, don't ask. And I didn't bring my PS5 to Australia, so I know it released in like February, so I had like 4 months before I moved to Australia to play it.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
still didn't
yeah.
play it then. But given, I'll probably have to wait until I assume it'll get a Switch 2 port at some
I'm
point. I'll probably
shocked there
play it
hasn't been
then.
a Switch 2 port announced
Yeah,
already.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
I'm
you
sure
could
it's on the behind the scenes they're working on it. You'd have to imagine.
you could
I
sell a
I
kidney to you could sell a kidney to
wow. Wait a minute. What do you
yeah,
mean, Dave?
yeah,
Why are you
yeah,
saying that? Why are you saying
to
that, Dave?
yeah,
Garrett, is it
to
Garrett's kidney that you're selling?
yeah. You could sell Garrett's kidney, attorneys general,
Mm.
to afford a Game Pass subscription in 2025 to play it as well. So there's your option.
I will say I slightly resent it because its fans are really annoying. But they're annoying in a way that annoys me because they're like, oh, it's brought turn-based RPGs back. And I'm like, fucker, there's been like 15
Yeah.
awesome turn-based RPGs in the last
Yeah.
15 years.
Oh, look, look,
Like,
it could be any level of fandom. It's going to annoy you, and it would annoy me as well. I don't think that has to be exclusive to just Clair Obscur.
it's
I
like
I
the
I'm
turn-based RPGs did not die with Final Fantasy X or whatever. There's been some great ones since then.
I will also
Blitzball
say
killed
though
the
if
genre.
I will
Fuck
also
you.
say though if someone like because I feel like so much of the conversation has been annoying around this game as well because it's kind of like do you call it a JRPG if it's not from Japan? If anyone ever asked me that question, brother, I'm just going to do the wanking motion right in your face and say, you know what I'm saying, you know what, call it a French RPG if you want, you
That's a
know the point I'm making,
that's a
okay?
such a classic. Actually,
Yeah, it's so
I mean,
fucking God
I did
annoying.
enjoy the workaround was to call it a JRPG, which I thought was
JRPG,
quite
yeah,
good.
sacre
So
bleu.
look, I think it's great. It's my
It's
game of the
phenomenal.
year.
It is
It's
phenomenal.
yeah.
and the thing is as well is like that first hour of setup that they do, the like prelogue, whatever you want to call it, is like as like impactful as you can get in terms of setting up like the world building, the mystique,
The
the
the vibes are
setting.
immaculate.
It is and like the soundtrack as well. Within like 5 minutes, I remember when I played, I think it was Final Fantasy VII for the first time, years after it had come out. And I was like, I've never heard this soundtrack before, but it feels like something that's nostalgic that I've heard throughout the years and like resonated immediately. And Clair Obscur is along those lines as well, except that it's just way more French. But then at some points decides to do some electronic music and goes like fucking hard and incredible. But like just that first opening hour is as and it is somewhat hyperbolic to say, but it is about as impactful as I've ever seen attempted in a video game. And like and then it just kind of goes from there. And yeah, like I do think I appreciate more than anything else is just how French the game is and how unapologetic it is about doing it. And then when you think it's as French as it can get, you end up in a fight with a mime while a fucking accordion is blasting in the background, and you're like, oh no, we're really going for it now. Um, I I think more than anything else, what I appreciate is that like I as much as anyone else have this like real fatigue about Unreal Engine 5 games
Mm.
where you look at it and you're like it's just all right, yeah, you slapped it into Unreal 5 and you slapped the lights on, and I've spoken to like some people that work in Unreal 5, and they're like so many people just the kind of like creative art, tech art aspect of making games in Unreal 5 is just out the window because it does so much of the heavy lifting already, which is why so many games in Unreal 5 just like you can see from a mile off, like, yep, cool, that's an Unreal 5 game. But the thing about Clair Obscur is the art direction is so original, and the setting being like late 19th century France gives like such a unique setting to just go fucking hog wild. And I have an issue with RPGs and JRPGs where like when you get to if they do like a three act structure, at the end of the second act they do like the rest of the world opens up now
Mm.
and you've got another 20 or 30 hours to like fuck around and do whatever. And I a lot of the time by that point I'm just like I just kind of want to get to the end of the game. This is one of the few games where it's like I want to see every single like biome that this game has to offer because they're all so fucking unique in their structure, their layout, like their verticality sometimes, and because there's also like some bit of like additional bit of world building or lore or whatever
Hmm.
to explore. Um, the characters are all unique, and I feel like I'm one of the few people that like as soon as this game started, I was like, no, I have to listen to like the French original audio
Oh,
with
really?
the English.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, this game is so committed to a bit that I will listen to this in French.
Mr. New
Fucking
Japan
Charlie
and the
Cox.
Japanese commentary over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But like even with that, like the kind of strength of the characters comes through, and like
Wow.
the best thing about it, and I know Barry agrees with me with this. I think one of the strongest things this game does, is you have like moments where you have like you're in the campfire bit, and you have these
Mm.
small like 2 3 minute bits of like dialogue between two characters, and the conversation between them is some of like the most at times charming, at times funniest, at times wholesome. Like some of like the bits between Verde and Monaco are
Hmm.
like two of my like favorite kind of bits of like dynamics and conversation I've seen between two characters in God knows how long. Um
All that
and
stuff
the
is great. I mean,
yeah,
I never felt like I wasted my time clicking on an optional conversation at the camp. Never. I did it
no.
pretty much every single time, and it was always worth it. It's so, so rich. It's so rich with character stuff.
Yeah, Barry, you can talk for a bit because I was rambling there.
No, I would echo everything you say. I mean, I think it's. I mean, I know it's one of the most lauded games of the year, the last couple of years. I genuinely do think it deserves it. I really, really love it. The thing I was shocked at was it's quite systems dense in a way I thought would put me off because I'm not
Same.
really a turn-based RPG guy, because you've got your various turn-based RPG mechanics, but you also have each playable character has a completely unique mechanic all onto their own. And so you're still fairly early in the game, and you're like, okay, this character, every time they do an attack, they go into a different stance, and you have to keep your eye on the UI because it shows what stance they're going to end in. And then being in that stance lets them do this. This character plays tarot cards with each turn. I was like, I'm not going to get this, but I inexplicably the game is kind of like simultaneously so dense, and you really seamlessly just pick it all up in your stride. The UI is super clear. They give you a lot of fodder enemies, especially right after you get a new party member to get to grips with things. So I was stunned to the degree to which I was able to pick it all up, despite the fact that it's complex almost seems like the wrong word because it is complex, but I never really felt overwhelmed by the mechanics, and all the characters are so different from each other that you can there really feels like there's a huge amount of customization and play it your way about it. Which I really love. It's really spectacular, and I played in English. I mean, the performances are just insanely great. I know Jennifer English won for Mael at the Keeleys, and I thought that was very deserved.
I mean, you've got like Charlie Cox and Andy Serkis, and like you know your
Andy Serkis was a big snub at the Game Awards. I thought, God, he was outrageously great in that game. Yeah, it's. I mean, I know. As I said, it's been praised to the hilt, but I do think it is one of the big. It's easily one of the big successes of the year. I loved it. I loved it. I would probably play it again at some point in the near future. Because I think it's super cool.
It's one of the few games where I'm going to pick up a physical copy at some point because I played it on Game Pass.
Yeah.
But it also cannot be like it's interesting how it feels like the kind of game that could very easily tip over into like melodrama very easily, but it never does. And I don't know if it's because like the kind of like the motivation and the like dialogue of the characters it the overarching like kind of tone and everything that's happening feels kind of melodramatic, but the characters kind of they balance the line of tragedy and humor in a way where it kind of balances between the line and kind of keeps it going, oscillating between the two. Um, and it kind of also just be able to say like the soundtrack is like the Act Two overworld theme is it both feels like hopeful and mournful at the same time, and it's like the moment there is a kind of live orchestral performance, I'm there day one. It's so good. Yeah, it's I don't care for like the Game Awards and that kind of stuff, but when I saw that it sweeps across the boards, I was like, yeah, pretty much. Like it really does deserve
The
them
only
all.
two things I gleaned from the Game Awards is I saw the headlines of how many awards Clair Obscur won, and then the only bit I watched was the Control Resonant reveal, which was like, okay, I actually don't need to watch any more of this show now
You
because
didn't
I'm
need.
not
You
going to
didn't need.
enjoy it.
No,
You didn't need to
no.
watch the rest. You did not need to watch the rest. I sure.
Yeah,
Um,
that was
I,
the absolute peak.
I do think for like people that actually do like JRPGs, I guess the thing that would be interesting to see is like where you fall on the line of like the way that it does the parry and dodge system within like a turn-based mechanic thing. Like it's Paper Mario but kind of like expanded upon, and I think that was the thing that kept me engaged with the combat even like 70 hours in, is that the whole like dodge parry thing, it does it in a way where, because a lot of times where you get in games where the dodge or the parry is like telegraphed enough that you can kind of see where it's coming from. But this does the Dark Souls thing of like, the animation, and like some characters, there's quite like you think the attack is coming, then it's coming half a second later, and you really have to like clock into, you might not see an enemy for an hour and then you have it again. Then now you have to remember that attack pattern from like an hour ago and remembering like, do I dodge here? Do I jump here? And that I think is the one big thing that if you're not into that style of combat, that's going to be like the big turnoff. But
I think that's the wall, and no glinting sword, no Batman arrows
no.
over heads. Like you just have to look at the animation and get it, which can be tough. I mean, it can be tough. But
It's fucking brutal at points. But I for me, like that, there are some of the later boss fights where that's the tension. Because theoretically you could go through that entire game and never take a single hit.
Yeah.
If you like know all the attack patterns and whatnot, but that creates that beautiful tension of like there are some fights where you're like on the tenterhooks, but then you bring it back from the brink because like you do a perfect dodge of like 4 enemies and get your health back up. And I think there's something really beautiful about how you can kind of go back and forth within one boss fight. So yeah, no, Clair Obscur is phenomenal. It really is.
Let's move on next to Ghost of Yotei, which I feel like is one that every couple of years there's a game where it comes out, everyone plays and goes, "That was fucking great," and then everyone stops talking about it, and that feels like Ghost of Yotei. Because look, I haven't beaten it yet, but I'm a good bit of the way through it, and I'm like, this is phenomenal. I love this world. I love being in this world. It all feels great. It all looks great. It may be better than maybe this is slightly controversial. It may be better than Tsushima. Um, and then at the same time, it just doesn't seem to have had the same like cultural kind of like where people are holding on to it in these conversations at the end of the year as much as I maybe would have expected playing it in my little, because I like, and this will be reflected in our long discussions here. Like, I've never been more out on keeping up with what people are talking about games wise online than I have this year. But it just doesn't feel like everything felt like a tidal wave of like Clair Obscur and a couple of other games like that at the end of the year. And like I feel like people are almost at this stage sleeping on how good Yotei was.
Yeah,
Who else has played it? I assume Barry and Jack anyway.
I have not.
Oh, have
I
you
have
not?
not.
It feels very you for
I know, yeah. I don't know. I feel like that might be an early Gen game. No, not for me.
Yeah,
um
I loved it, man. I think
yeah.
it probably
Did you
is my
platinum it?
yeah.
Oh
Um,
wow.
yeah, it probably is my game of the year.
Yeah.
I just loved it. Every detail. It just feels so. You play a lot of video games and a lot of sequels to video games, and it feels like, hey, this but more, or this has been made because we needed to, or it was popular, or any of that stuff. But this game just feels really lovingly crafted. I love the fact that they pivoted away from Jin and just told a different story
And
as
that I
well.
feel like it's better written this game as well because I
Much,
feel
yeah,
like it's better acted as well. Like Erika Ishii is
brilliant.
brilliant.
Hmm.
But I feel like you get to know more about the characters, and it feels more like I don't mean schlocky in a bad way, but I feel like it feels more like that. Obviously, the games have such a debt to like Kurosawa revenge movies, but this feels way more like the wholesale taken as a plot from a Kurosawa movie. This whole like this happened to me. I am avenging this, much like the first one. But there are these particularly, in some cases, ridiculous archetypes, these kind of legendary figures that one by one I am going around and exacting my vengeance upon them. That just feel inherently more cinematic than the last one. And there are great moments of that are cinematic in Tsushima, but I don't know, it just feels like the scale of everything has been turned up, but not to that you sometimes get with those open world-ish sequels where it's like, okay, now you've done too much. We just wanted more of the same on the same level, and you've just given us too much, and we're kind of like we're it's too much of a sugar rush. But I feel like they've handled that balance very well in this game, and it's given you kind of like more of the challenges and the things you really liked about the first game. Like I'll tell you, Barry, if you've been missing chopping through those bamboo sticks back
Oh
in a
yeah.
big way,
I did like that one. I did like that
yeah.
one.
And then like adding some new different challenges to it. I really love and it's the same thing I did when I got Red Dead Redemption 2 back in the day because there's a bounty system in this game. Where like you go to a new village and there's a bounty board on it. I think, and Witcher did this as well. Great, where there's just like these little mini like go get this guy or go find where this guy is and then like kill the shit out of him.
Mhm.
Um, and much like when I noticed that was an option in Red Dead, I just completely abandoned the story for several
Yeah.
hours and just was doing these like little contracts, and it fucking rips. Like it's really really good. I feel like the things they've done to add complexity to the combat system have been really good. The different the different array of weapons you have in it and how kind of it reminds me of Doom 2016 in a way where the individual weapons you're getting are cool, but they've really thought about how each weapon can be used to interact with a different type of enemy that like you can't just
Right.
mainline just your one katana and get through like every struggle. There's like a series of weapons that you employ in this game and little kind of projectiles and things like that that are all different in specific scenarios. And I thought that was those systems, those combat systems were really well thought out in Yotei. It does the one thing I will say that maybe is a knock on that is that it does make it a little bit for the way I'm playing games this year, where I'm like hopping in and out every few weeks.
Yeah.
It does make it like the first hour or so is trying to find your sea legs again because you're going, oh yeah, this thing's good at that, or the red shimmer before somebody strikes means dodge it. The
Hmm.
gold means this. The blah 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 blah. But like that's not much of a knock because I'm not playing it the way it's intended to be played. Like that's my
Mhm.
fault that I'm playing it so piecemeal. But just a brilliant game and visually fucking stunning as
Yeah, it looks
well. Like, but
incredible.
I don't think that will come as a great galloping shock to anybody, like, because Tsushima looked like it got every little bit of juice out of that PS4 that it could, and yeah, um,
I do wonder though, like you started with the discussion about this in terms of like, is this game that came out, had a fair bit of discussion, and then it's just kind of like lost to the wayside already. And I wonder if part of that is if that's kind of a wider reflection on either a kind of like how AAA games are and feel in 2025, or if it's just to do with the PS5 as a whole in
Um,
terms of like how many PS5s are out there. How I know this game sold about 3 million copies, which is obviously
yeah.
like great. But obviously like Tsushima was a PS4 / PS5 game, and
Yeah.
like I do wonder if there's something around that just in terms of how many copies are out there, how many people are buying like 80 quid AAA games at launch compared to like I'll give it 6 to 8 months until this game is half price or whatever.
I think maybe there is an element of that, but my reading of it was I think it's one of those things where the way discourse on a game can continue and perpetuate throughout a year, it doesn't do. It it's not one that can generate many hot takes about it that keep the conversation going. It's like it came out and pretty much everybody that played it can agree this is brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, we've played that, we move on. Do
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean? There's
yeah.
not even
Yeah.
with Clair Obscur, which we just like, you guys were gushing over just there. There is still pushback on it again, like because of the like, oh, the fans are really annoying, or the fucking like, the turn-based element of it, or the extremely French element of it. There's things for people to grasp onto and just keep kind of like giving out about. Whereas
There's
like this game comes out and you're just like, yeah,
It's
fucking
it's
nail the assignments. Like,
yeah, it's greatest sin. It's just a really good game.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
yeah.
it's like,
it's just
oh,
a solid.
they made a really good game. They released a really good game. People liked it and played it, and that's
Yeah,
because
Yeah.
I played like 4 hours of Metroid Prime 4, and I was like, I kind of get why this reviewed at eights because it's like it's really well made. It looks great. It plays great. There's some little annoyances here and there with the dialogue, but it's not as overbearing as some people on Twitter might make you think. And then I'm like, but there's not like it doesn't have a thing, you know? It doesn't have a thing that you're like, holy shit, this is really exciting. And I really need to get on here to talk about Metroid Prime 4. It's just like, it's a good video game. And that's it.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
it'll
yeah.
just move on in your mind.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
the it's
it must
that
be so
like
much harder, like when you go from something like Tsushima, which is like, one of the kind of games, like defining Sony first party games of the PS4, and then have to do a sequel to that. And it's like, it's a tough place to be in because like how much more do you try and expand on those systems? How much do you try and like do more of that? Because it's you look at like Doom Eternal, like its greatest sin is of trying to do like Doom with a gazebo
oh
on the end of
man,
it, and it's
oh
like
man.
and you look at something like Spider-Man 2, where you don't want to say play it safe because it doesn't play it safe because it still like has some really interesting things to it, but it's just a rock solid like sequel, and that can, I guess, in some ways kind of be like its greatest sin because it's just like it just does more of the same, and it's like, well, that's what we're kind of here for. And that's like I think one of the worst, like hardest places to be as a game designer is to make a sequel to like a really revered like great game, because how do you do that again without feeling like you're doing more of the same, and without rocking the boat too much in terms of adding too much that people aren't there for? It's an impossible
Yeah, it,
task, a
it is
thankless
kind of a
task.
damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Where it's like, oh,
Yeah.
that's not what I wanted out of that. That I really liked the first game because of X, and now it's Y, and I don't like Y at all. You ruined it. Or as you said, if you just more of X, X is great, but it's more of X. Like you can't get like that like a Breath of the Wild's Tears of the Kingdom. Oh, we dropped this really insane physics system. Like the number of people that can actually do that, like
Hmm.
from one sequel to the next, is
Yeah.
you can count it on one hand, and it's ridiculously hard to do. So yeah, it is sequels, especially these days, where like, back in 2001, you just release a sequel and it would be iterative, but it would be the next year and that would be fine. There wouldn't be like the 5, 6 years of
Yeah.
anticipation between games where the expectation builds and there's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a
yeah.
need for it to be bigger and better because you're getting one every 7 years now instead of one every
Yeah,
I mean,
year.
you
go
think about like that PS3, Xbox 360, or anywhere in like the 2000s. You look at something like the Dead Space franchise. Like that's
Mm.
three games on the same fucking platform in the same generation.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
look at
Mass Effect. Yeah.
Resistance,
Like Assassin's Creed.
hit,
How many were on that first?
Killzone.
Yeah, it's exactly like it's just
Yeah,
not a thing that you do, and you're right. And we were also like at that time, there was more kind of space to have those many sequels, those many games anyway, because like there weren't 4 million fucking games coming out in one year, and
Yeah,
it's
and now like games are
yeah.
so expensive to make that if you try your big new thing and it doesn't work, you're just going to go bankrupt. That's just the way it is now. Like if you take a big swing and it misses, you're done. You can't make games anymore.
Yeah, which is why all the publishing deals were all sub 500 grand, as I'm finding out at the moment. So
Mm.
yeah, expect more
Uh,
peaks.
very quick
Hell
one
yeah.
here very quick one here. I don't know if anybody else has played it, but I wanted to make note of Outer Worlds 2. You talk about like just coming in and nailing the assignment. Like I'm so over first person shooters generally um these days. So to have like what I needed this year as a fun kind of wind down into the Christmas holidays was a game that brings me all the fun, all the bombast, all the color, all the ridiculousness that like Obsidian doing a sequel to Outer Worlds could bring. And it is just like, again, it's one of those, I don't think it's going to take up too much real estate in people's substantial game of the year conversations because it just came out, did exactly what it's supposed to do. We move, it's fantastic. It's a huge amount of fun. If you love their games, if you love the first Outer Worlds, you will really have fun with this. And it just as well, it does a thing that I really like about when video game sequels just start and it's like it feels like as soon as it starts you're trying to run and jump into a moving car. Like it just starts off at about 60 mile an hour and then just keeps going from there. It's really good. It doesn't assume that you know nothing about what's going on. It's just like, oh, you'll figure it out, let's go. Yeah,
Use
good,
the right
dumb.
stick to move your camera.
Yes, good,
Was
dumb,
it
big, loud fun. And would be
was
right in my. I think it's the. Do you know what it is? Outworlds 2 is the classic game that falls into the trap where it's a lot better than a ham sandwich,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
probably falls just short of anyone wanting to
Right.
campaign for it in Game of the Year as well. Like
Very
it's an
good
eight.
game of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wasn't
it's
the
an.
plan for Microsoft to launch it at 80 quid, I
Yeah,
think, and
They
then
got
yeah,
they had
shamed
yeah.
to
out of
back
it,
down
yeah.
from
Well, it
that.
was
Yeah.
it was their plan was to launch all their stuff at like going
Yeah.
forward at 80
Yeah.
quid, and this was the canary in the coal mine. And let me tell
Right.
you, that canary fucking
Yeah.
choked.
Mm.
Yeah. Let's again, we could form a long period of time on this show talking about the ways in which Microsoft knocked their own dicks in the dirt this year, but we
Not a
don't
good
got that kind
year.
of time.
No, no.
It's a
We
bad
did
year.
just give them the fucking Randy Pitchford Award and just be
Yeah,
done with it
the
already,
Randy
you know?
the Randy Pitchford non-crimes division of that award
I
could
mean, I think
definitely
Microsoft are complicit potentially in some
They could
yeah,
win
yeah,
more
both. Yes,
crimes,
they could
you
some
win
know?
both.
some light crime.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Outer Worlds 2, really good. A game I want to talk about, me and Barry had kind of been like, I think this was one where the next two games I'm bringing up are ones that as soon as other people played them, they thought of me and told me to play it. And then I did, and I enjoyed both of them a lot. But I think this first one might be slightly more divisive with someone else on the panel, and that is Blueprints, which Barry, you were saying never really got its hooks into you.
No, I played the demo. I was like, oh, this is such a cool idea. It's really sick. And then
Yes.
the full thing came out, and I kind of ran through the early stuff. And I didn't get very far into it when the full game came out. I kind of ran through a little bit of it, and I was like, okay, I mean, first of all, I don't consider myself to have a great puzzle brain anyway. This seems like an extremely, cerebral
Yeah.
game. And it's funny because when you were talking about Clair Obscur and the fans are annoying, and this was a big year for me of just like I am not letting any like a discourse about a game decide how I do or do not feel about it. This is probably the one exception because when people were like, don't think of it as like a roguelike. Think about it as one big long puzzle game where you learn a little bit of. I was like, all right, I'm playing Doom, pal. All right, all right.
Yeah.
Stop telling me how to think about this game. All right, Jonathan Blow ass. Like
Yeah,
fucking, please give me a fucking break on this stuff.
Old Jonathan Blowass.
All Jonathan Blow ass. I was like, it seemed cool, but I mean, it seemed like even conversations about it aside, I mean, it just didn't seem like a game I had the brain for.
It's topping a lot of lists.
Yeah, which seems crazy to me, but simultaneously, though, I get it as well because it's very unique. It's very unique.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's it was firmly not for me, I would say, but
Yeah.
it's cool.
It is
You're-
it's absolutely the game you either you get it and you love it or
Or
you
you
don't and just
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I suppose like very lightly, I'm not gonna like get into the whole mechanics of it, but if you haven't played it, it's like this puzzle game where kind of your movements are your main currency, basically, where you can move between rooms a certain amount of times, and when you move on to a new room, the idea is to get to all the rooms in one one playthrough, and figure out what's going on. I'm not gonna like get too deep into it, but when you go to a new room, it kind of gives you a choice about what, of a number of options, what is the next room going to look like.
Mhm.
So you try to open up or close off routes as you go through. And then there's like different currencies that help you along the way with boosts and things like that. There are certain things you have to do it all in one run as well, which is where the roguelike element comes in. And there are certain things you can carry between runs, there are certain things you can't. You've done the dance with the roguelikes before, but yeah, I think before I cough up a lung here, I think it is maybe the coolest idea in the
Yeah,
game this year, like the coolest
conceptually, it's a
mechanic.
really
Yeah,
cool thing for sure. My biggest the thing I'm most shameful about with this is it was only about 2 weeks after launch that I realized the play on words with the
I was gonna say
title, and I'm so fucking ashamed of myself about that.
the title may be dad joke of the year, if that was
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
pretty
yeah,
good.
yeah.
It's pretty good.
yeah.
But yeah, it probably not like the heaviest in terms of the discourse, but definitely you could see the people that were just like, I just do not get what this fucking thing is. And my problem is that I started it on about three separate occasions, but I was traveling at the time, and it does really feel like one of those games where you want to sit down with like a
Yeah.
notepad and like play
Yeah.
for a couple of
Yeah.
hours and
It's
really like
it's
break down kind of system. You can't just pick up and play for 15 minutes at a time. It's just not that type
this
of
and the
game.
next game. This and the next game. I think there's been a trend of that. And I think it's a thing with the puzzle genre, where it feels very much like a game I championed a lot at the time, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes,
Mm-hmm.
where
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah, for
worst
sure.
thing you can do in that game is to go any period of time without playing it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because you will immediately forget all your psychopathic notes that you'd written about it, what
Yeah,
they
yeah,
all
yeah.
mean, because you just need to be midstream with that game at all times. Anybody else got any blueprints takes before we move on to the next one?
I
I
assume
think
Noah's too dumb for it.
it looked it looks really cool. Like the visual style of it, I really liked, and I'd say that a lot of games have done the "you're alone in a mansion" trope.
Mm.
That's been done to absolute death. So what I
Yeah,
find
fuck off,
incredibly
Luigi.
yeah, exactly. What I find incredibly refreshing about it is that it is that, but it feels fresh and unique
Yeah,
somehow.
yeah.
And yeah, it's just the right amount of unsettling from when you like see what the gameplay is, like where you just feel like there's a lot more to what's happening around you, but you kind of get lost, I think, in a lot of trying to figure the puzzles out a lot of the time. But every now and then you do just feel a little bit creeped out. Like when you
Mm.
start going into all those sub levels, where you're going through like caves and stuff to get below the mansion and stuff like that. There is a good like haunting presence of just the mansion. I think that in the game, but
And it's
that's
it's very much the kind of like animal well of this year of like the sort of ARG elements of it, which is why Garrett was always going to hate it and like was not
Mm.
the type of game I was going to push on him. Yeah,
there
very
wasn't
very
enough
interesting.
manuals in the game. I think.
No, no,
Uh,
no.
Right.
But also just like another like knockout the park for like Raw Fury, who've kind of like low key been one of
Mm.
the stronger publishers over the last like 5 years. Certainly, like while we've been doing this podcast, like I always go back to Norco and think about that as like just like they just and they had like Blake Seance of Blake Manor, like which is like
which
topping
is the
so
next game we're
many,
talking about.
which is topping so many, not topping, but like in
This
the kind of top 10.
this
And
is
you know, like the fact it's an Irish game, which is the
yeah.
key thing I want to
Get
stress
it,
about here,
get out
is
of my way, get out
excellent.
of my way, because I'm talking about that next.
Sorry.
Because this is absolutely the game I would be tooth and nail fighting to get into our top three in the normal format, because Seance of Blake Manor is a fucking banger, my friends. Like this is the kind of like puzzle detective game that I eat this shit up. And again, this is another one where the group chat for the podcast lit up of like, oh well, I've seen the most Dave Ryan game of the year anyway.
I mean,
And boy
also
howdy.
it doesn't hurt that it is Spooky Doorway who did Dark Side Detective, which we know you
Yes,
love as
yes,
well.
one
So
of my favorite games of the whole run of this podcast, Dark Side Detective. But yeah, Science of Blake Manor feels like the thing they have been teaching themselves to do with like the dark side detective thing, and like just kind of the idea of It's got a little bit of the kind of like LucasArts find a thing to solve a puzzle element. It's got a little bit of detective game. It's got a little bit of puzzle game. It's like it's a love letter to a lot of things that these developers clearly really love, while also being like maybe the most Irish game of all time. Like
Yeah.
the not only setting it in a time and a place of like, oh, well over 100 years ago in Ireland, but also just the ways in which it weaves in like Irish history and folklore and references, not in a way that you won't get it if you're not Irish, but a way that's just like a nice warm hug, because it's like tapping into that Irish history and mythology and different things about how Ireland was at the time is not a well-trodden area in video games. So it feels completely fresh. It's also an incredibly the best kind of puzzle games are the ones where it's slightly maddening when you're trying to solve a thing about what's going on, but then you feel like a fucking genius when the pennies start to drop. And that
Yeah.
is like, again, I don't want to talk too much about what's going on because it's very hard to talk about non-spoilery, but um like a very early puzzle when you arrive at this manor. Normally the idea is you get sent a letter, a woman is missing, you've been hired to go figure out what the hell happened, and you go to this manor where there's a lot of really weird, kooky, spooky people staying in this manor, and you have to solve some puzzles, interview some people, figure out the truth of what's going on. Kind of like there's a little bit of that kind of Paradise Killer about it, about like you're going back and forth between people where you're checking out somebody's story, and that opens up a path where, okay, that person I spoke to 10 minutes ago, that sounds like it might be bullshit now. I need to go back and try like another route of talking to them. Um, and there's a certain kind of like in the way Blueprints does your movement between rooms is currency. It kind of, as you interact with things in the world, it uses up your time in the day.
But it's
So
quite
that's kind of
slight, isn't it? It's like a
it
second,
is.
which I think
It
is really
is, yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
And it's good because like it does make you a bit more deliberate about your actions, because
Hmm.
like it's down to like, do I interact with this fireplace and lose a minute?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so we're normally the thing in like a puzzle game, if you don't have that restriction on you, is like you are interacting with everything that where the button prompt says interact, because you could try brute force it. Like, one of these fucking things in this room has to be the answer. But
Hmm.
it puts just enough of kind of guardrails on you to stop you from doing that, that you have to be extremely deliberate, as some sort of detective might
You
be,
might
you
have to
might
do.
say.
Yeah.
And yeah, you just meet that. I think the art style is gorgeous as well. It's just like this really like lush comic book or graphic novel you're going through. Um just feels great, sounds great, well acted. Some of the puzzles are really clever. Again, there's a puzzle right at the very start where you have to try and fix a telegraph machine, which is just a really simple, like teaching you how the puzzles work in here and how different characters in the game, because you have to like some of you find out that something to help you fix the telegraph machine is hidden in the office, but the office has the really creepy uh, receptionist
Receptionist.
manager
Yeah.
guy, yeah, in it. So you have to try and figure out a way to get him out of the room, and then you get into the room without him seeing you get into the room to get the thing, and then get back out, because
Yeah.
it's full game over if he catches you. So yeah, just down to that is really cool. There's some really trippy, like, I think it also does the thing of like it kind of does its reveals of how like it seems fairly like hard nosed and serious and grounded at the very start, and then like the first night you're there, you have this dream and go through this like unbelievably, like, I suppose it's more of a nightmare, go through this like unbelievably bizarre series of visuals and prompts and things like that, that like, okay, there's some really freaky shit going on, and it's all centered around like, that by the end of this period of time a seance is happening
Hmm.
in Blake Manor, would you believe? So if you imagine the type of people that would stay in a hotel in rural west of Ireland around the kind of end of 19th century, start of
Right.
20th century period of time, those kind of kooks are
Yeah.
the characters. Like it's a full like Agatha Christie novel cast of eccentrics in it. Yeah, just a really fucking just a banger of a fucking game if somebody else wants to come in and talk about it.
Are you the only one? Is it anyone other than Dave play it?
It's my Christmas
To
game
play
that I'm
this.
going to play. I just yeah, I haven't had the chance to actually play it yet because yeah, it's going to be my Christmas thing. But
I played the demo. I think this is more going to be my speed than Blueprints. I feel like this will be
Yeah.
my next kind of puzzle thing that I try to
Uh,
tackle.
yeah,
and
and
you know
obviously
what?
it's got the chops again of coming from Spooky Doorway. And it's kind of like an interesting place to be where like I know those people now, and like one of the
Yeah.
tech artists that works on that game is working on my thing as well, and so it's like
Yeah.
it's going to be very interesting to approach a game from that perspective, just on a kind of personal note. But
Thank
you
you for
know,
declaring
like
your conflict of interests, Mark.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I think what's really, really great about it as well is like just hopefully like what this could do for the kind of like Irish games scene
Yeah.
and dev
Yeah.
scene and um
This
like
is
the
also getting up high on a lot of people's list outside of Ireland.
yeah,
Like it's not
for sure,
just
for sure.
me and you.
Um
Yeah.
but like it's gonna hopefully do really good things just in terms of like, you know, the funding that
Yeah.
the government have been putting in the last like year or two and
Yeah.
like the kind of additional pushes that this can do for the next couple of years and
Yeah.
like different opportunities that have come along. So yeah, it's great in a number of capacities.
I think the final thing I would say as well is like the investigation mechanic in it is really clever, and I think that whereas it is kind of like Blueprints in as I think you want to run at this game rather than come in and out every few days or few weeks, just to keep narrative straight in your head.
Yeah.
It has a very similar the way it maps out the investigations as they're happening is actually kind of similar to I'm going to invoke another fave of mine from previous game of the years, Alan Wake 2, in as much as it maps out as like, okay, this is happening and this involves these people, and you've got like the pictures that link in people to each other, and you can like look at a person and their involvement in everything. I think it's really well, like, I'm not saying it's like investigation for dummies, but it's all put in a very logical, very straightforward way that I think is intuitive for you when you get into the game. It's not like you see these systems, you're like, we said about the Expedition 33
Mm.
thing, where like when you see the systems in that, a lot of people are going to go, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Whereas in this, you see the way the investigation's played out. You're like, okay, yeah, no, that makes sense. Like it's 2 minutes and you've got it. So yeah, pretty damn good game, and yeah, it could be a nice cozy Christmas one for some people. So play it. I will take a step back now because we've gotten through my segment, and we're going to go to something I have not touched at all, and that is Hades 2. Has anybody been on the Hades 2?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't have too much to say about it because in a non-derisive way, I think it's a quite iterative sequel. But
This is the Ghost of Yotei conversation again. I feel we're gonna
I
have.
kind of think it is. Yeah. Now they've done some stuff. Don't get me wrong, but I'm also only about 40 hours in. I think Garrett's
Only.
done-
I played like 70 or 80, yeah.
Yeah. I still haven't. I haven't beat. I've come so insanely close to beating it once, but I haven't actually gotten that one victory yet. Super cool. All the stuff that you liked about Hades 1, great story, great characters, beautiful art, great music. I think I much prefer this suite of weapons. I don't know how you feel about that versus the first one, Garrett.
Yeah, I think like they've just taken everything and made it better. Like the combat is better, it is faster. I think the cast is more useful in this game. Like
Yeah.
I thought it was like a thing that kind of existed in the first, and they've more integrated into it. Like they have that new mana system that kind of like puts a limitation on some of the sicker stuff you can do, but you can also fucking break the shit out of it immediately, depending on what stuff you get. It looks fucking amazing. It has like one of my big knocks on OG Hades was like it only has 4 spaces you run through, and while I played that game for 100 and something hours, it is like, all right, it's Asphodel and then up to the other one, and then beat or the Bull and Hercules, and there is more than that in this one. So they did expand that as well. My knock on it is I think ultimately the story is kind of bad. As it plays out, as it develops, and as they like justify why you have to keep on running through the game. I don't think that quite works, but I do think everything else about it really does. Like the characters are still awesome. The character art is absolutely fucking phenomenal. I agree. I like the weapons a lot. I think they're really cool. and I think they feel more dynamic, separate to each other. I feel like you do have to actually adapt your play style to each different weapon as opposed to kind of brute forcing it, which I think you could whether you use the shield or the spear or the sword in the first one. Whereas I do think these ones they do have a little more variety. And yeah, if you liked Hades, boy, do I have the game for you.
Game for you, absolutely.
I do wonder, like, because obviously, when they announced that they were doing Hades 2, and this is the first time that Supergiant were going to do a sequel to one of their games, and it's like some of the fallout or from some of the conversations about Hades 2 where there's like, oh, it does this X, Y, and Z. Because I've always wondered, like, did they do Hades 2 because there was a load of stuff that was left on the cutting room floor that they were like, we can make a second game out of this and expand on all these systems? Or is it that the original Hades made a shitload of money and we should probably do a second one and make a shitload more money, which, I'm not going to knock anyone for doing that. I've always been curious about like what was the decisions to come to that they felt that they had to do a sequel for the first time. And because it's interesting, some of the stuff
it's not like Hades 1 left stuff on the table. Like Hades 1 was such a complete experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like
yeah,
top to bottom. It was such a fully fulfilled concept that you're not like, oh, they really need the sequel to work this stuff out. But I probably guess it's a little of A, a little of B. I'm
Yeah.
sure there's a little bit of cynicism in it that like, listen, this is a giant hit. It is like we made a bunch of like well-selling, critically acclaimed games, but this was above and beyond those, like Bless Bastion. So there probably was a little of like, let's just churn out a Hades sequel and secure the viability of the studio for another 5 years. But like as I said, it's not like they didn't have ideas. It's not like they didn't bring a bunch of new stuff. I think like the game it's probably my game of the year, which I think is a little boring. I like more interesting games of the year than that's like, oh, it's like more Hades. But it's just great. It's just a great video game.
It's awesome.
And I'm shocked with myself because I fucking adore original Hades. I think that was my game of that year. But I've just not played Hades 2. And I don't know because obviously it came out in early access first, and I will usually just avoid playing an early access game until it hits 1.0. But then 1.0 came along, and I was like, and if I started playing it, I'm sure it would get its hooks in. But I was like, I don't know. I don't know if it's like roguelike fatigue again.
Maybe. Yeah.
Which I say, but anytime that a roguelike actually kind of like gets its teeth in, I will.
But yeah, this is also one that you put a lot of time. Like I don't want to de-emphasize how much cool stuff they didn't do, but this is you'll pick this up and you'll be like, oh, it's Hades, right?
Yeah,
in a great way because Hades is class. But like
you'd hope so to some degree.
Yeah, it's tough, and I do think the story stuff that Garrett mentioned, I think that did hurt its word of mouth a little bit. I mean, people were really hyped for that the first like week or so it came out, and then obviously I still haven't beaten it once. I'm kind of stumbling there on Chronos, but the majority of the conversation among people who have beaten it and seen the end game has not been positive. People versus like when Hades 1 came out, people were like, oh, you're beating it once, it's just the beginning, you gotta do all this time, and every time you get out you get a little bit more, and it's so cool, and it there's been none of that. In fact, there's been the opposite of that for Hades 2, which I do think hurts it, because it's, even though it's like a very systems based actiony roguelike game, it's like the story was a key thing of what made Hades 1 so special. Was like, oh my god,
for sure,
it's like a roguelike game that actually has cool narrative hooks in the repeating structure of it. But yeah.
Because you want to play Hades 1 to fulfill all those narratives and like build out all those relationships and see all those little like character details. You want to keep playing Hades 2 because it's fun to play.
Right.
And it is fun to play. It's like I played it for 70, 80 hours. Like it's not like, oh, I finished it once and didn't want to play it anymore. I've still I've done probably 30, 40 completed runs of that game at this point. So it's not like I'm like, I'm done, I'm complete. But you are playing it because it is fun to play. You don't care. I don't care about any of that story resolution stuff. It kind of sucks. It's not good.
Let us move on next to a game that I think would have taken up like a couple of weeks of podcast. Donkey Kong Bonanza.
Or would it? Or would it have, Dave, is the question. I'm just now like 15 hours in, getting to the point where I'm like, oh, this is really cool. Yeah. My first like 4-ish hours with DK Bonanza, I was like, this is kind of fucking boring, if I'm being honest with you, everybody. I felt like my opening couple of hours with Bonanza, I was kind of thinking to myself, this is a really well made, nice looking and sounding Kirby level of game. You know how those Kirby games are like, some of those recent Kirby games, like, these are cool. These feel like they're made for actual kids and things like that. I outside of the novelty of the destruction, for the first kind of quarter of my time with Bonanza, I was like, I'm not really the new game from the Odyssey people. Is this really it? Now, I as the game progresses and you get more of the different types of Bonanzas, I feel like it has thankfully lived up to it. But this is kind of one of my most disappointing games of the year, I gotta be honest. To tip my hand for that award. It's really well made. I have had fun. Again, as I'm hitting the home stretch, I'm really enjoying it. I certainly wouldn't say it's bad or anything, but I don't know. I don't know. It was missing a lot of that oomph for me for the first half. I feel like a lot of the cool stuff is way backloaded. I don't know. So who else has played it?
Me.
Is it just me?
Also
and you?
me.
Oh no, Jack, you played it. Okay.
Yeah, I've played it.
Okay,
A
so
bit
we
of
both
it as
played it.
well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't have a
Because,
Switch too, so
am I on an island on this? I mean, because to me,
Like for me, I wouldn't go as far as like disappointment. Like I think it's a very good game. I think I see it very high in a lot of Game of the Year lists. I see it like top 5 in a lot of Game of the Year lists.
yeah,
And it's not that for me. Like for me, it is like an 8 out of 10 game. I think it's a lot of fun. I think
Same,
smashing
yeah.
things is great. I think like my big knock on it is I think the level variety is not great. I think
Yeah.
a lot of the levels, they look different, but in terms of like what you do in every level and in terms of like what mechanically you're interacting with, I think there's not a ton of super, like there's not the same level memorability I think that like Odyssey has in terms of like some of those that stand out and will like really stand the test. It's like, oh, Layer 7, yeah, sure. As opposed to like, you know, Shiveria or like Steam Gardens in Mario
Yeah.
Odyssey. Like it doesn't have that same level personality. I think hitting things is fun and just
Of
a pure
course, yeah.
carnal, get in your brain, go and break rocks and break more rocks, and the rocks don't respawn, so you can just flatten an entire level. I do think, have you gotten the elephant power up, Barry?
Yes, yeah.
That is one of my favorite things, because like I was at the point where it's like, all right, I've kind of enjoyed smashing things, but I'm like, all right, I get it. And then you get that where you can just fucking hoover up the whole goddamn level, and I'm like, I'm back in. This is so much
Yeah.
fun to just literally suck the entire level up, especially as you like level it up.
Those
But
animal forms really. That's where the game kind of, when I got more of those, like, okay, now they've really given me a suite of moves, and there's way more kind of bananas that are like more interestingly kind of hidden or obscure for you in that second half. Because I kind of felt like in the first couple of hours, like, wait, this destruction is really cool and I'm having a lot of fun. But I feel like in terms of the actual stuff I'm doing in the game, it's I'm pressing the right button to do my sonar attack. Oh, there's a banana buried. I'll dig down and get it. There's zero challenge at all in that because the destruction's really open and fun, which is great. But I felt like I did that 50 times in the first couple of hours. Was dig a hole, get the banana, great. And it's like, even those little, like, because again, this has a lot of 3D Mario DNA in it. It has those little offshoot rooms, challenge rooms. And in the first half of the game, I felt like a lot of them were dropping you on a little platform and beat 3 enemies, and here's a banana. I was like, what? What? Is that all this game is? And then again, as we've gone deeper into it, those have also now gotten really fun as well, and I found a lot of interesting, challenging ones.
that all sounded very Donkey Kong 64 there for a second, and I was.
This game has a ton of Donkey Kong 64. I mean,
it feels a lot better to play.
Well,
it's a lot better to play.
Yeah,
but you are.
I will not put it in the box of like, oh
no.
I also wasn't
it is
confused by any weird fucking collectibles at any point during this game.
Yeah, it's got a shit ton of them, but you don't have to think about it too much. This game, I will say, you are constantly getting that satisfying ping of I'm collecting stuff all the time.
It is the little dopamine hit, because you are right that like not all these bananas are not easy. Like a lot of them are not, but it's like, ooh, banana. It's literally
it's
banana.
Constantly, oh, banana, constantly, which is very, very nice.
That was that was like the early. I thought that might be the game meme of the year. The first time I saw that oh banana thing, to be honest. But I guess like the conversation, and Barry, you kind of tipped on it a little bit, just to bring it out, is like how much of it is the fact that this is intended to be something friendly for kids to play, is a part of the complexity of your adult brain wishing there was kind of more of a challenge to it. And do you almost have to make the exception in accepting that you might not necessarily be 100% of the target audience, and that if you were 12 or 13, this might be your game of the year by miles.
No,
Miles
we
and
deserve
miles
better.
and
We deserve
miles.
more. God damn
No,
it.
no. You see, like I agree somewhat with Jack's argument in that I do think both this and Mario Odyssey are elegantly designed so that there's a game for 12-year-olds here and there's a game for 35-year-olds. Like the game,
Right.
both those games are in this game, and I think, but like because Mario Odyssey had the same thing, which is just there's just like a moon just sitting,
Right,
and you
yeah,
go up
yeah.
and you get the moon and you get the moon gone and you go on to the next one. But then there's like 10 that they're much harder to get. So like I do think Mario Odyssey does that better, but. I do like the elegant because as I said, it's not quite the Kirby game that is like
No,
just,
it's that's what I was
you hoover
feeling.
things up and have fun.
Exactly. Early
Yeah,
on, I
and-
was worried it was going that way, but I by the end, I don't think it is that way. But yeah, it was just giving me those vibes early on. But I think,
Yeah,
it's not
it is
quite-
what
it's not
these games
quite
go
that.
for. Like both those games are in this game, which is what Nintendo's design philosophy for these kind of games generally
Always
is.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, it bears saying that, like, to say that Odyssey does something better is not a knock because Odyssey does
No,
most things
of
better
course
than
not.
most
No.
things.
And listen, there will be a 3D Mario probably next year that will probably blow the doors off this
See,
thing
this
with
is
respect
the
to
thing.
Donkey Kong Bonanza.
This is the thing that has me concerned about if I get around to buying a Switch 2 and playing Bonanza, because I am the low man on Odyssey out of the five of us. And I do worry that, like, those 4 hours that Barry talks about, I go in, I'm just like, yeah.
But you also
break
you
things.
might take something else from it because it also looks like
Like
it has
the
all the
smashing.
great first party Nintendo charm. It's looks great, sounds great. Like
The
you
How
know,
movement is
expressive is
ridiculous.
DK in
Like-
this, by the way? Some of the facials that
the
he makes.
facials are great.
Like I keep seeing the gif of him sniffing the banana over and over again, and just like looking like a sort of junkie fixing for a hit. It's amazing.
and like it's got tons of great moments. And plus, also as Garrett said, there the mood, I think that also feeds into part of why I was slightly disappointed with it though. Like you can climb basically on any surface except for designated ones where for challenge purposes they've made it so that he can't. You can climb everything. You can smash everything. It's so versatile. It's so open ended. I mean, and also again as a quote unquote launch window game to kind of show off the power of the Switch 2. I mean, it never stutters, it never breaks, it never breaks a sweat.
I feel like,
and
I feel like
but in
if
a
nothing
way-
else, it feels like a real technical feat, just as
Yeah,
like as a
absolutely.
game.
Everything
to me,
is interactable. Everything is interactable.
Yeah, that is incredible.
which is-
It feels like Nintendo are really trying to like 'cause with the Breath of the Wild and with Tears of the Kingdom and with this, they all have that very similar like core philosophy of just fuck around however you want. Like we're gonna give you a bunch
Right.
of tools, and like there is design challenges with that I don't think they've entirely worked out. And like if you give players that amount of freedom, it does remove often some of the challenge from it, as opposed to like if you go back to like a Mario Galaxy game where it's like we have a very specific challenge that you can more or less do one way, but it's very satisfying to do it that one way well. Whereas this is like we're just here's the world, break everything. You don't even need to collect a single banana to finish this game. Like the banana collectibles are technically entirely optional. You use them for upgrades.
Entirely
you
mystical,
can do
yeah,
a zero banana run of this game if you want. You could just blitz right way through it. So like there is that tension of like we've given you all this freedom. And this, the compromise for that amount of freedom does seem to be, it does hinder a little bit of the challenge.
I'd like the idea of there's like the O banana crew and the no banana crew, and they're having an online flame war over how you should complete the game.
Also, Jack, did you finish this?
Yeah, I just
The end game is phenomenal.
Yeah,
the final boss stuff is so good.
yeah. If you're into really challenging boss fights, maybe like again this might not be for you, but the actual like the scripting and the environments of the boss fights, without giving too much away, are
there's a boss fight moment with the final boss that is probably my moment of the year. It's so good.
How does it fare to eating a
good.
truck into a god? Like, where does it fit on that comparison?
It's quite close.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
God, that Kirby ending was
banana
great.
into my mouth.
I still think every now and again that Kirby ending is like, it kind of feels like this has come out of nowhere, but all right, sure.
Yeah, that Kirby game again. This is probably somewhere between the Kirby game and Mario Odyssey.
Yeah,
but I actually feel like it's closer to Mario Odyssey than it is to that Kirby game. So
yeah, well, I mean, you'd think so. It's the same team, so
it's the same team, but also like I don't know if it's just maybe that like I don't have the expectations, but I always kind of feel like with a lot of the first party Nintendo games now that it's gonna take a while for me to get into like what feels like real substantive gameplay anyway. I felt like that about, I guess it's not on the list, but I felt like that about Pokemon games for a while as well, where like you're not kind of just thrown in and off you go anymore. Like there is a lot of hand holding.
There is
So
very much turn to right stick to move the camera in all of these games because like and it's
yeah,
Nintendo, so they're like every game is some kid's first game, so we have to hold
True.
the hands
Yeah,
a
yeah.
little bit.
exactly,
They're always like
exactly.
that.
And I guess, but I think it's completely valid for Barry to point that out. But then
Hmm.
I also think there is a part of me that's just like, maybe I am incredibly accepting of that at this point, and maybe I
Some
just
kid
know.
somewhere doesn't know to move the camera with the right
Yeah,
stick. You
Exactly,
know
right?
what? They
Yeah,
need that
Yeah.
prompt.
exactly. Or someone like in their 60s might be playing their first video game. Someone gave them
Mm.
a Switch too, and they're like, hey, fuck it. Okay, that moves the camera. Great. Yeah.
Something I've thrown in the list here. I have no idea if anyone's played it, but just because it's on a lot of lists, I just wanted to do the temper check. Has anyone played Split Fiction?
I did about 2 hours with the wife at the beginning of the year.
What's it like?
It's, I mean, this is in a way this is really high praise. This is It Takes Two without the kind of cringe, weird divorce storyline that was really off-putting in that game. Same level of like really fun, really clever, really satisfying platforming gameplay. We didn't get very far into it. It's cool. I don't have a whole bunch to say about it. I would also say that even though they sidestepped a lot of the annoying story stuff from Takes Two, it's still kind of cloying and a little bit irritating to listen to. It's another one of them. It's another one of them. Yeah, that sounds pejorative, but I liked It Takes Two for all its failings, and I think this one is probably even a little bit better. Yeah,
I
it's cool.
think one of the bigger games I'm gonna just want to like throw in here just because of the discourse, because I think it's me and Barry that are the two people that played the most is Hollow Knight Silksong. I feel like that's got to get a
Mm.
bit of discussion.
Hmm.
That's on the list
I
here.
find I find it so interesting how not in the game of the year conversation that game is. I'm sure
And
like I'm sure there are some people that have given it game of the year, but it
Garrett, do you
very
want to
much
know?
feels like
For the Silk Song people I know, like through my work and stuff like that, the fact that it is not everybody's number one locked game of the year is a travesty beyond words to them.
mm,
Here's the thing, right? So I am as high a man on OG Hollow Knight as you can get. I have
mm,
made the claim that I think it's one of the, if not the best Metroidvanias ever. It's on the same pedestal as like a Super Metroid for me. Silksong is not that. It is an exceptionally like well crafted game, but it doesn't have the same level of immersion at times. It has some stuff. It has like weird little freaks of characters, like
Yeah,
it gets that
yeah.
kind of stuff in. Um, it doesn't have the same level of like expansive biome, like distinct kind of like regions. It has some, but I feel like off the top of my head, I can think of like every single region in OG Hollow Knight, and they're clear and they're distinctive and they have a gimmick and a theme. Silksong has some of that, but some of them kind of bleed more into others than others. Um, the thing about this game more than anything else is it is like OG Hollow Knight is a tough game. It is punishing at
mm-hmm,
points. It is
mm-hmm.
rough. Silksong takes that and then it really fucking ramps it up to 10. And even in a way where I was like, I'm not enjoying this. This is actually
Yeah.
at a point where it's like this is getting a bit fucking tedious with how and look,
It's
I enjoy
mean. It's
it's
mean.
that it is mean. Like
But I think you
yes,
could be mean and not be annoying.
yeah.
It's annoying.
It is.
I
It's just a
enjoyed
mean game. It's mean
I
spirited. That's what I mean. Like it is a mean. I think the thing this game suffered most from is being in development for 7 years because
you're probably right.
you can tell they're like everything should do double damage because we played this thing 700 times. It's boring us.
Yeah.
It's become too easy to us, so everything has to be more difficult than harder. Like people are like, this game too hard? The answer is yes, but not
Yes.
from a like baby gamer perspective. It's a badly designed game in terms of its difficulty curve.
Yeah.
It's just annoying.
It's not hard. Well, it is hard in terms of like the boss fight design, patterns are challenging to learn. But I think that's like you play that and you go, well, okay, that's the game and that's hard and that's fair enough. Speaking to the game's development length, you know what fell out of vogue while this game was in development? Fucking Dark Souls 1 run backs to a boss. Because for the genre is the Souls like. FromSoft's last game had checkpoints in it. Okay, it had fucking checkpoints at the boss because they were like. The funny thing is, if you read the interviews with people behind those games, they're actually surprisingly normal brained about it, more so than their fan base, and very much kind of go, yeah, like you should use summons if that's what you want to do. It's in the game. And it's kind of like I'm over the concept of the run back, and some of the ones in this game are
It's the Last Guardian one is like utterly
it's so
insane.
insane.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
yeah.
the thing with all of that as well is like while I enjoy from a just a black humor kind of point of view, that desperation to get to that bench, which oh by the way, that bench is going to kill you because
It's
the
fake,
fucking
yeah.
like I enjoy it and I'd enjoy watching other people play it, but I was also like, that's a swift middle finger that yeah, I like. Yes, this world like it adds that layer of like oppressiveness that like this world is meant to give to you. I do understand that thematically, but it's also like you need to like take the foot off the pedal by like 30% and
There's
just
a
Yeah, like
bench that kills you,
if this
man.
game, yeah, if
A
this game was
bench?
nicer,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
like
yeah,
if
A
this game was
bench?
nice,
yeah.
if the game was nicer, like I think the bench moment would be better if the game was nicer to you
A
because it would be more
million percent.
unexpected and more surprising. And you, but like if you do this mean ass, mean spirited, dopey game, you finally get to your bench and you're like, "Fuck you, we killed you," and you're like, don't want to play your game anymore.
And
I
for
think your
anyone
game sucks.
who doesn't know, the bench is this game's like a bonfire, right?
Yeah.
It's your rest and get your resources back, and it's your unofficial checkpoint save point thing. And there's early on in the game there is one that you sit on, and it's a trap, and a thing comes down and hits you. And you know, I mean, that's been in games before, mimics and stuff like that. But like, I mean, the issue with the runbacks is very prevalent. I feel like in the first act of this game. So when I found that bench, thankfully it didn't kill me. But I've seen so many clips of people who die at that bench. Like, oh, what a funny Souls-esque thing to do. And then it's like, okay, now you got to do like 15 minutes of really annoying platforming to get back to where you're going.
Which doesn't feel great
does
to
it
do
feel
the
good?
fucking downward thing.
That was my thing. That was my thing. Is that the game has a very similar mechanic to the Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, which is a good game from this year. Not a game of the year contender, but a very good game. It has a kind of a hit a thing midair to do a double jump mechanic, but it feels so bad in Silksong. It feels so fucking bad.
I, as the platforming prodigy, will tell you, I did not get a fucking hang of that thing at any goddamn point. You know,
It was never consistent. I was never, and there was at one point where it's like, I finally got, and then like this next five I missed.
Yeah,
it's like, I don't know how it works.
Versus Ragebound, where I think it was just like LB, just tap it when you're near the thing.
It's the kind of Cuphead thing, like you just bounce off and off you go, and
And I will say I liked a lot of Silksong. I will say that
I like it.
Me and Garrett are talking about is like that's what's. I might have finished it if this stuff wasn't in there. Do you know what I mean? I did really like parts of it.
I did like the end of Act 2, and there's obviously like Act 3. You have to do a couple of different things, but I was like, here's a couple of other issues with the game as well. It elongates its length with like basically a bunch of spam effectively, and like go collect these 4 things. But it's like I don't enjoy traversing around the environment enough to want to bother to go and collect those things, you know? Some 40 hours in, I still don't quite understand how the shards currency works.
Does it need to be 2 of them? Fuck
No,
off.
it doesn't. No, you know,
But
like
what is it? It's like you refill your tools with them. Is that how it works?
I don't know, and I
They
don't
don't
care.
fucking tell you.
So,
They don't tell
you know,
you, so.
the rosemary beads was fine enough. Whatever. I think Hornet as a character and her movement is great, and I think that she's a really great kind of core anchor to the rest of the world. And I think it's one of those great things that everyone around her is a weird little freak, so it kind of makes them feel weirder, and it makes her feel more like normal. And it's the same thing with original Hollow Knight as well. It's all the little moments that you get that kind of really make the game. Like when you come across that character who's like banging, singing his song to try and open the door, and like it's super fucking charming and whatnot, and then you like come around and then you open the door and then he thinks that he opened the door because he sang his song, and you just kind of leave him to it. It's like, I don't want to take that away from him. I'm just going to kind of run him. And then you meet him like later on in like one of the hot baths, and he's just kind of swimming along, and like the game does all those types of things really, really great, but it's just actually the moment to moment getting to those fucking things that is just, you know, when I was like, do I want to bother with Act 3, which is taking this incredibly fucking punishing game and try and do it, I can't be fucked. I actually cannot be fucked, you know?
Yeah, I don't feel like the thing about the Souls games is they're hard, but when you do well, you're like, fuck yeah, I'm on top of the world. Whereas every time I succeed in this game, there's like a relief that I just have to don't do it anymore. If I beat a boss, it's not like, oh, I really did a thing, I achieved something there. I'm just like, I can play more of this game.
Yeah. And also
Thankfully.
like the really big area that has like the kind of like televators that you can take. I can't remember what the area is called. It's like the just the really big fucking central point of the game. It just it just felt tedious. Getting around this world feels tedious, you know, in a way that OG Hollow Knight never felt.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that's its biggest cardinal sin. Even though like areas like Biowater I thought were really fun and like, you know, at times there are times where you feel like, ah, yes, like they've got it. They've nailed that original feeling. And I do think Barry, your 7 year development line, I think there's some real kind of weight to that. And in some ways, look, they were never going to be able to like give me that same feeling that original Hot. It would be impossible. It'd be a thankless task to try and do that. But I definitely have come away, even with trying to keep my expectations at a kind of realistic level, I still feel a little bit underwhelmed because it just felt like they fucking Team Cherry had like game design locked down with that first game, and they just worked themselves into a shoot, brother. I think, you know. Yeah, it's a shame.
If I may move us on very briefly, I want to talk about one game. I don't know if anybody else has played this, but with the anticipation of the sequel coming out this year, I replayed the original, and in terms of like surprising personal turnarounds on the game, like I at the midpoint of this year came to the realization that Death Stranding 1 is a masterpiece. Um, it's actually brilliant. I'm not going to, again, it's a game from years ago. I'm not going to necessarily get into it, but you would have been sick to the back teeth of me talking about, like, man, we really decided what this game was and packed it off into like a little cupboard at the time. And the deeper you get into that thing and the more you engage with what it has to offer, the just like it's a fucking stone cold knockout of a game. And Death Stranding 2 on the beach came out this year. Um, and I'm like 10 or 12 hours into it. And again, it's just it's brilliant. I think that for a start, it's one of the most visually stunning games I've ever seen in my life. There's the opening credit sequence of the game. Kind of used in the same way in the first one. It's a very atmospheric opening, kind of set you for the what the world is like, where you're on a mission going from point to point as the music is playing and the opening credits are playing. You're kind of just walking through these kind of like this arid mountainous climate because the kind of prologue chapter of the game is you kind of heading over the border to Mexico. Um and it's just you're looking at individual pieces of earth kind of collapse underfoot and roll down the hill and different things like that. And you're like, this is genuinely like like a visual benchmark in terms of what games can look like when you're
Hmm.
going for that very kind of photorealistic level of fidelity in imagery. I don't want to, again, it's another one of those where I think you'll have more fun the less you know about what the game's actually
Right.
about. But suffice to say, one of the things that I think we can talk about now that this game hid very well, because you watched like a lot of the promotional footage coming up to it, like you see those arid climates and you hear that there's stuff going down in Mexico in this. What I think went maybe underreported or under the radar a little bit is like that the whole Mexico thing is just a prologue chapter to this game.
Hmm.
The pretty much the entire game takes place in Garrett, Australia.
Good eye, mate.
Yeah, so this may be you'll have to play it and tell me, is this what Australia is currently actually like?
A
I
representative
would
sample,
suspect,
yeah.
yeah, I would suspect and hope not. I hope there's less BTs down there. But yeah, it's just I think if more people hadn't been put off by the first act of the first game and had seen that through, I think this would have been a bigger moment of 25, this game coming out. And I think it is like more than delivering of the things that are set up. It's also done the thing that like all great sequels should do, is like look at the things and the systems that were really clunky in the first one and just fucking simplify the shit out of it. Because that was, I think, one of the things that was like a big wall in getting people over in the first act is like the very Kojima-esque way of laying out systems and how they interact with each other in the first one was a little daunting at first. And I think it's boiled it all down. Like there are numerous people I know who now advocate for that they hadn't played the first one and just watched a video about what happened in the first one and then started with the second one. Because much in that kind of like Metal Gear Solid 5 was it was the last in the franchise, was by far the easiest to pick up and play. I think Death Stranding 2 has a bit of that where it's like substantially easier to get a grip of how it works and just get into the meat of what's going on. And again, it's a faster pace start than the first one. I think you're like anybody who played the first one might correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you're like a solid couple of hours of gameplay before you see any of the BTs properly in the first one. But yeah, I don't know. I'm strongly suspecting by the stony silence no one else has played this game.
I think we probably talked about this in real time. I've played some of the original. I got about 10 hours in, and I was like, I actually don't hate this, but I also don't really like it. I've been debating a lot about this. People have been really singing the praises of this one to the degree I want to play it. But I don't know. I got a lot of stuff I'd like to get to before that, but it has been so enthusiastically recommended to me.
Huge shout out, by the way, to the director's cut version of the original one.
The original, that's
on
what I
PS5.
played. Yeah,
it's.
I mean, I
the
have
director's
Death
cut is great.
Stranding sitting there on my Epic Games account that I got about 2 years ago, and it shall probably remain sitting there for a
Yeah,
while.
well, look, of all of us, you were the hardest sell of it.
Hey,
I
hey,
wasn't even
I've
going to
played
try.
the first three Metal Gear Solids now.
Yeah, no, I've watched you do it,
Yeah,
and it was
Does
painful.
it
hard
does it
watching.
Dave, does it
hard
ever
hard to
become
watch a man actively fight against the way the game wants you to play it.
yeah. Dave, does it ever become more than just carrying stuff around and walking
Yes,
around and building things?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, but actually,
That is the analog for what's going. There's always a little bit of that going on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I got sick of that and
Yeah.
I love
It's
Kojima.
because it's the end of Act One where when you move from like that whole area you're in at the start is literally the first third, maybe quarter of the game. And then like when you start getting into the second map, shall we say, and you start like actually kind of like willfully engaging with the like the building of the roads and the different things the game different kooky things the game wants you to do, I think is when it really starts to open up and you start to get invested and enjoy all the eccentricities of what's going on. And then when you like when yeah. I'm not gonna again, we're talking about the original game from years ago, but the sequel is more of that and then some, and it seems to be winning over people who either didn't like the first one or just skipped the first one entirely. So um yeah, it's a fucking phenomenal game.
I
And
think there's
I think would definitely I think I could do a good job if we were doing classic game of the year. So I think I could do a good job getting it far up on best looking and best music as well.
Oh, for sure. Like best looking, like
Yeah,
I'd never disagree on anything that. I think one game that we may have overlooked or not mentioned yet because of when it came out, because it was last year, is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, which I think we should probably
that's
give a
really
quick
good.
shout out to.
Yeah,
Because like it's a fucking great game, you know?
yeah. They've
Like
literally
almost not even shockingly so, but it's
yeah.
great.
Our cutoff is like December 1st. I think it came out like December 12th or something like that.
Around
It came
about
out
that.
like right
Yeah.
after the cutoff, but it is, yeah, it's phenomenal. That was my whole Christmas period just playing that. And talk about like in the way that Raiders of the Lost Ark is a classic Christmas movie, but it's not about Christmas at all. I think this felt like a great cozy Christmas game, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah.
But just it just
Um,
looks great. It feels great.
yeah.
The kind of like moving around the kind of like Vatican City and Rome and punching Nazis is always a good time.
Yes.
Yeah, no, just like yeah, it just
Yeah.
unfortunately the timing of it when it came out kind of like puts it in that really awkward spot. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was a good win.
I would like to talk about one more game in kind of a big picture heavy hitter thing, and then what I'm going to do is go around and get people to do like quick cliff notes on anything else we missed.
Sure.
And rather than get into 10 different categories, I think maybe kind of give us your individual game of the year then, rather than us argue it out. So the last game I want to talk about, just because again, we talk about how a lot of us have soft spot for Nintendo and stuff like that, and a game that obviously because it was such a long week, such a busy week we've had since the last podcast that we haven't had a chance to talk about it. So I genuinely don't know the takes of anybody, but I think maybe Jack on this game. Um, Mario Kart World.
It's
Yeah.
good, full stop.
Good game.
Yeah, that was kind of my thing. Like yeah, and I was waiting for the like the Garrett Kidney either how dare you, it's a masterpiece 10 out of 10 or the it's trash, I hate you
Like,
all. I was
like
expecting
if
you to
someone
have an
comes in with the take,
extreme
it's the
reaction.
worst game of all time, I would be like, what are you talking about? But also
Yeah.
if somebody's like, this is the best Mario Kart game, I'd be like, what are you talking about? Like,
Yeah.
I do think, like, we're talking about this game on December 20th, 2025. I think by the end of the Switch 2 life cycle, we'll probably have a different conversation about this game. In the same way, like Mario Kart 8 evolved into a fucking insane game with 9 million tracks and
Yeah.
characters and all that.
I-
But as we talk now, I think like the open world hook, I think it's nice. It's not interesting, but it's like you can
There's
go
not
really-
enough. There's not enough.
I felt the same. Like, yeah, it's all that stuff. The stuff they actually give you, the P blocks and stuff, is boring. And but it was kind of cool to drive around though. And
It was
just,
ki-
like,
it was
kind of
kind
like, you
kind
know,
of
Just
cool.
pick something and follow it, and it just
yeah.
carries on
I would just
going
go
and-
to places.
Yeah.
You
It
know,
feels like
and-
the
Like-
it feels like the kids version of, you know, when after you'd beaten them, you'd still turn on a GTA game and just spend an hour
And-
driving around
Yeah,
just doing
yeah.
shit. It spends like, but there's less to do.
It's what I would do when I'd finish playing some courses and some knockout tour and all that, and I'd then just like spend 20 minutes just fucking driving around the world doing nothing really,
Yeah.
just kind of
Yeah.
driving around. And it's like it's nice for that, but it's not like.
Yeah.
But I do think, as I said, I do think they'll add stuff to it by the time
Yeah.
this game is done. Because I think the big I don't think they released an update for this year because they didn't want to
No.
eat Kirby's lunch.
Yeah.
So like they waited until Kirby Air Riders was out the door, and I'd imagine we'll probably get a substantial update to this game probably in the first quarter of next year. So I think we might have a different conversation about this game by the time it's done. But as it is now, it's a good Mario Kart game. Full stop.
Yeah. I genuinely think the best open world thing about it isn't even the actual drive around in the open world. It's that when you're in Grand Prix mode, the way they've structured the races, that when you start race 2, you're kind of still a little bit on the map from race 1, and it like it's over the course of the first lap that it gradually changes into, you know, okay, now we're in Bowser's Castle, or now we're, you know, now we're doing this. There's that weird period of like it's half the last race and half this race. I think that's really clever. But in a way that I'm really going to enjoy, because what I did was I basically critical path. I did all the Grand Prix stuff and then went into the open world after, and I was like, oh, I've kind of seen it all now, and the connective tissue between those bits isn't compelling enough to keep me in for a long period of time. So I played it, beat it, enjoyed it, and haven't really thought about it since.
Same.
Yeah.
I haven't booted it
I
up
will
since,
say
like,
though,
July.
you know, if we were doing all the categories this year at the same time, I think maybe Rainbow Road as a whole gets a high moment of the year shout.
It's
because like
phenomenal.
every Mario Kart game you go to yourself, okay, look, how are they going to do Rainbow Road this? We've seen it all, like, because it's like it's really trippy, but also it's within the confines of it has to be distinctly Rainbow Road.
Yeah.
And this thing was just like, is there a gas leak? Have I taken LSD without knowing it? What the fuck is going on? This incredible track. It's by far the best track in the whole game in terms of
easily.
like just a
I think
knockout.
it's the best Rainbow Road. Never mind, like best
Yeah,
Rainbow game.
it might be. Yeah.
Every now and again, like I'll go back and I'll play N64 Rainbow Road, and I'm like, this kind of stuff sucks now, like in comparison to everything that's come afterwards.
It's not that it's so. It's that Rainbow Road is hostile and hates you.
Yeah.
Like that's what it
Whereas
is.
this
Like
is
you play through
a
that and it's like,
five-stage thing of beauty. Yes.
yeah.
I I love
Um,
Rainbow Road and Mario Kart 8 as well. I thought that was great.
Mm.
By the way,
Yeah.
shout
but I
out for
loved all
for
the
the
I loved all the reimagined old Rainbow Roads in
mm.
that game as well. You
But
know,
shout out for the music in this game as well. I think that's a
Yes.
I
really
have heard
underrated
that's
factor.
that's the big thing is everyone's
Oh,
been
it
screaming about is the
bangs, Mark.
music.
It
Yeah.
bangs.
It's
well,
ridiculous
Mark,
because like not only is the original music in the game really good because it's a Mario Kart game, of course, the original game and the music in the game is real good. But there's like 130 new Mario remixes from across the entire Mario
Jesus
series,
Christ.
and they are amazing. They're amazing. It's
Mark,
ridiculous the amount of music production that went into this game.
Mark, I have great news. If that's something that appeals to you, you don't have a Switch 2. Boy, do I have an app for you. You can just enjoy all that sumptuous
That will
music,
increase their user count to two from just
there's
Garrett.
well, I was going to say there's genuinely more than a 50% chance that even all these months on, Nintendo haven't added any of that music to that stupid fucking app.
Hey Dave, hey Dave,
Yeah,
hey Dave.
yeah,
It's not on the app.
yeah. Love you, Nintendo. Never change,
I'm
never
sure there's a
change.
YouTube playlist somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the
Uh,
music in that game is I think the standout thing from the game. It is the
Great.
only like true game of the year thing. I mean, you
Uh,
might
it
make a case
looks
for best
great.
looking. I think the game looks
It
great
looks
as well.
great.
Yeah,
Yes,
it would be in. It wouldn't win the category, but it would be in the category.
I just
But
love
Yeah,
how
yeah.
I love following some of the like goobers in their stupid
Mhm.
cars around as well. That I just couldn't help it. I was just like,
Uh,
where's this guy going? Where's this guy going?
I also think the inherent chaos of how many people there are in a race in this. I think it.
Knockout Tour is a great mode. Like it's
Yes,
a
Good mode,
great
yeah.
addition.
Yeah.
It's a
yeah,
really
I
good
think
mode.
there's genuine challenge brought on by like even outside the knockout tour. Like I think just having that many cars, the chaos that it brings, I found it harder to do like even on some of the lower CCs because I'll start at the very lowest and I'll try to like, ace all of them on all the
Mm.
engine levels. But like even at the lower, I was finding it more difficult than usual to get my four first place in a Grand Prix, like because
It's
it's
chaos.
just
Yeah.
it's
Mhm.
so chaotic. Like so fun, but in a way that I could totally see it annoying some people.
Mm.
That it's like it's just too chaotic for them. But yeah, whatever. Okay, so that's a lot of the heavy hitters out of the way. So what I want to do is maybe go person by person and just say, look, is there anything we didn't hit on? Give me some cliff notes about what you like about it. Because I just am conscious of time that I want to go back around a second time and get everybody's kind of what would be your game of the year, if we were voting. So I'm gonna start with you, Jack.
Cool.
Anything we didn't hit on here?
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few. It's usually me who has got like quite a few. Um,
Why we went to you
I'll
first.
start. Sorry.
That's why we went to you first.
Yeah, so I'll go kind of in reverse order of games I played in the year. Power Wash Simulator 2 is out and it's really, really good. They've brought a lot of different kind of guns, like, and the ways that you can use like different equipment in the game. Like there's a new thing called the Surface Cleaner, which is so much fun to use.
What's that do?
But it basically it's like a big circular a big circular sort of like brush almost that you can just like put flat on a surface, whether it's on the ground or on a wall or something, and it has like a massive area, so it cleans things off really, really quickly. But the gimmick to stop you from just using that to basically cheese a level is that you've got like a specific movement speed that you use with it, but it's incredibly satisfying to use. They have an adaptable nozzle now that you can just change the intensity of the stream or the width of the stream that you're using, which when you unlock, you just kind of don't want to use anything else after that as well, which is really cool. And it's just more Power Simulator, and it's fun. And they're gonna put a load more stuff in it, probably like they did with the other one. So yeah, what's there not to like?
I don't know what's left to put in this one because it seemed like
Yeah.
every time I heard about Power Wash Simulator 1, it's like, oh, now it's SpongeBob. Now it's this.
Power
Now
Wash
it's that. It's like
Simulator in space.
putting Power Wash Simulator 1 in Power Wash
Power
Simulator
Simulator
2.
2. Yeah, I'm down. I'm down, baby. Like just reboot all those levels. Why not? Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater.
Oh
Very,
yeah,
very good.
that was cool.
Very, very good. Very faithful remake.
Yeah.
Looks incredible, feels incredible. They've made it so you can play the classic controls or the new, like the new style kind of Metal Gear Solid from like 5 onwards controls. There's not a whole lot to say about it other than incredibly. I was almost surprised by how good it was. Like I think maybe it's just because it's Konami. I was expecting them to fuck this up somehow, but nailed it. Nailed the assignment. Really good. But you know, it's an old game, so there's not too much more to say about it. The other remake that I absolutely loved to pieces this year was Tony Hawk's 3+4. Fuck me, was this amazing? Like they added some new stuff to it, but maybe people weren't happy with the fact that they incorporated Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 into the sort of 1, 2, and 3 play style of having a couple of minutes to do it. And there are a few people I think that were a little bit bent out of shape about that or didn't like the new levels. But I think some of the stuff that they put like in those new levels, like the broken down water park level, the fucking pinball machine level, which at first I hated because I was like, I don't know how I score points in like some of these areas. But then I just when you figure it out, it's awesome.
It's a hard one to kind of figure out routes for that, but like once you
Yeah,
clock on, you can rack up some fucking crazy scores.
it rocks. And I played like 150 hours of it and got a platinum trophy, which is insane probably, but loved it to its core. Something we haven't talked about that was a big game from this year, but then I don't know how many of you guys would have played it, and I don't know that it really stuck around in terms of what people thought about it, maybe because it was blown away by another game of a similar genre. Assassin's Creed Shadows was really good.
I really
Uh,
liked it. I really liked it.
I just think that the main issue with the game was probably the story, where I was kind of skipping through the story a little bit just because I found the game so incredibly satisfying to play. The flip of having two characters, Naoe, who's like your more traditional assassin, is quick, is stealthy, moves really quickly through the game, and you know you can take out a base and you can do all of the traditional thing. Or you've got Yasuke, who's just a big tank of a fucker, and he just has massive weapons and smashes the living piss out of people, and that is so satisfying to do as well. So it kind of has a little bit of element of best of both worlds. In terms of the actual gameplay, I think it's one of my favorite gameplay experiences of the year, even though it kind of, you know, didn't feel like it meant a lot really because the story I don't think was particularly strong. But hey, it is what it is. And then the other thing I played a lot of this year, in fact, my most played game of this year, and again, it's just a sports simulator, so there's not a whole lot to say about it. PGA Tour 2K25, very, very good game if you like playing golf games. And yeah, those are that's like a speed run of some things that didn't get mentioned. Oh, and by the way, I didn't really get to say anything about it, but fucking Ghost of Yotei rocks, by the way. I kind of got cut off because we went in a different direction, but yeah, fuck, I love that game.
Let's go next to Barry.
I mean, I thought it was a great year for multiplayer games. I had more fun playing multiplayer games this year than I can think of in recent memory. Peak was such a fun success story from this year. I just had such a blast playing that game. Really made me kind of Peak and Arc Raiders really made me fall back in love with the idea of actually talking to people in a game, which is insane because that's usually the worst thing about a video game. But two great games for actually like talking to people and emergent moments coming from that. A bunch of other fun multiplayer stuff there as well, like a rematch in Marvel Rivals, which I kind of dabbled with at the beginning of the year. The most underrated game I think of the year for me was probably Bionic Bay, which is a kind of a limbo or inside like, but if it had platforming from remember N, the Once Upon a Time Flash game slash then
Yes,
DS
Oh,
game.
you speak my language there,
that was
Barry.
That
so
game
much fun. That
That
game.
game is so brutally underrated. Bionic
Yeah.
Bay, fantastic game, super cerebral, super satisfying to play. Likewise, a game that really came and went with such little fanfare. If we were doing the whole shebang, old school game of the year, South of Midnight would be the game I'd be scrapping people about in every single category. Looked and sounded phenomenal. A story that just tugged the heartstrings the whole way through. I loved South of Midnight so much. The big knock on it was the gameplay, which I would admit is the weak point, but I did not think it was like bad to the degree that it like blew this game out of any meaningful conversation. Very, very harshly judged game in my opinion. One of my favorites for the year. Yeah, I think other than that, we've kind of touched on a lot of stuff I played. Silent Hill F was a very pleasant surprise again. Konami a little bit back, are they? I think they might be.
Yeah, the streets are saying.
The streets are saying it. Yeah, Silent Hill F, I really enjoyed. Keep Driving was a fun kind of deck builder. Again, I know people might be sick of them, but it's like a road trip game. and it's set in the 90s. I think you guys would all enjoy that. Yeah. Other than that, the root trees are dead again. I'm back on our
Oh,
kind of.
Barry,
How we
talk about
almost not talk about that? My God.
this was the first game of this year where, like, again, the being badgered that it was a me game. Barry was straight in going, "You need to play this game immediately." And fuck, because it was January, wasn't it? Like it
Yes,
came out in fuck you,
super
it's
Very
early.
January.
early on. Yeah.
Yeah, it came
Awesome.
out
Yeah.
and I was consumed by this game until I beat it. Again, it's one of those, like, it's so linked into the story that you don't want to talk about
Right.
it, but it's a very clever mystery game involving genealogy.
Yes, it's a
That
point and
has
click detective game where you're using
yes,
90s internet and 90s like library tools
it's cool.
to piece together a
Archive
family
research
tree.
and yeah,
Yeah, and
and
it's
what happened to
it's
all of
great.
them, and yeah, and then, like, again, without mentioning too much about it, a very interesting idea of a post game. That,
Yes,
like,
yeah.
just when you think you're done, oh, here's more mystery, and just enough to be like to absolutely sate your appetite. Very satisfying game. Very nice looking game as well. I think the animation style on it and
Yes.
the 90s internet of it all is very, very nice. And I think that's one of those as well that, like, if it had come out 2 months ago, I think it's higher on a lot of those lists
Maybe.
you're seeing
Yeah.
come out. I think it just gets forgotten because it was in that gold circle time of the year where it was post everyone's list from last year, but before everybody got their tracking underway for this year, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was really awesome.
Barry,
Um
there's a game about digging a hole on your list. I played that and I loved that.
I was gonna. That seems like such a this podcast game. I
Yeah,
really enjoyed that.
I loved it.
It's what the title says, and it's kind of got a power wash esque kind of thing where you're upgrading your tools as you go.
yeah.
You're managing some meters,
Mm.
and it's also like done in like what, like two. It's a 2 hour game, is it, Jack? I think
Yeah.
it's the yeah.
And I love the ending. I just like when you finally get to
To the
why you were
bottom.
digging that hole and you've been gimmicked, brother.
Really, really fun. Yeah, I mean, this has been such a dense year that, like, again, we don't really have time. I could talk for ages about Atom Fall, that kind of like British faux Fallout type thing. That was really cool. Avowed was great. Yeah, we could go on and on. Yeah, super. A very deep year. I mean, so much great stuff. But yeah, that's all for me, I think.
Mark.
So Ooh is the follow-up from the developer that made Head from a couple of years ago, which is a game that I absolutely adore. Ooh kind of carries on the let's take one mechanic and then absolutely utilize every single component of that to make this perfect little 2.5 hour game. Really recommend. Lumines Arise. Lumines is a kind of like cult classic PSP puzzle game, and basically it's that, but with the Tetris effects kind of aesthetic slapped on. Really, really great. Would really recommend that. Promise Mascot Agency is the follow-up from Kaizen that made Paradise Killer that came out
Yeah,
this
buddy.
year. Um, I don't have enough time, even if I'd started from 2 hours ago, to explain what the fucking plot of
Uh-huh.
this game is.
Mm.
It is quite unhinged, but is absolutely worth checking out. And I'd really, really recommend checking it out. I think that's on discount for the Steam Winter Sale at the moment. But not as at the same level of Paradise Killer. I think few things are, but is definitely a worthy follow up. Go by just going fucking off kilter with what it does there. Kind of echo, like, I really liked Rematch. I, kind of like, I was shocked when I started playing it, like the follow up from Sifu by those developers, as like football but Rocket League.
Yeah.
And really, the only
Mm.
problem with that game is that you have to play with other people,
Mhm.
and so many people were just like, I'm going to do the rainbow flick, then I'm going to do the rainbow flick again, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm fucking disconnecting from this game and going to do something else with my day, because yeah, that was the main problem with that. Blake Chimera is probably the best Metroidvania that I played this year, early on in the year. I really, really liked the. Um, it plays like a traditional Metroidvania, but it does a couple of different things that it tweaks with its formula that I think make it stand out, that I really thought really works really well. I think that's the and Lonely Mountains. The what the hell is the actual title of it? I have it here. Lonely Mountain Snow Riders. So like Lonely Mountain is downhill, which was the kind of like downhill BMX sort of cycling game from a couple of years ago. They had a follow up at the start of this year, which was like skiing basically, and it's great and is really really worth checking out. And that Terminator 2D game that just came out is not worth 30 quid, but it's still really fucking cool and is like a long lost Sega CD game and has all the vibes and everything of like a mid 90s 2D pixel art style run and gun and is like genuinely fucking excellent, but it's not worth 30 quid. And that's a bigger philosophical discussion to worry about.
Garrett, the
Yeah.
clock is against you, but please give me your whistle stop tour of the best of the rest.
Pokemon Legends ZA, a good Pokemon game. I had a good time with it. Great characters, much more fun than Scarlet and Violet. Thumbs up. I think I'm hopeful that they make good games on Switch too. Ball X Pit, like Shelton X Benjamin, is a really enjoyable game. If you want to scratch the same itch that Vampire Survivors scratched in your brain, this is the game for you. It'll do that job. Xenoblade Chronicles X got a
There he
remake
is.
this year.
Oh wow.
Playing the hits, everybody playing the hits.
It is a game that I still think, in terms of like what it does in an open world and moving around an open world, is ahead of its time. I think games will catch up to it in like 10 years. It's bizarre. I hope all those games get switched to updates in the near future. A game that received its console release this year, which some would argue, some did argue last year, and something that is a top 3 game of the year. UFO 50. If you have consoles, it's on Switch. Go play it on
Nice,
Switch.
brother.
It's a good game. It's a cool game. It's an awesome game. Some would say game of not 2025 if we were awarding that award this year. And last but not least, I will give a shout out to Dispatch, which I think
Oh yes. How did we
kind
not
of
get
got
Dispatch?
it got a little bit shafted in where it's actually technically eligible for next year's Keelys too, because it was within episodic release during the window of the nominations. So it's a weird thing where it'll also be eligible next year for the Keelys. But like to see that Telltale style episodic release come back with the level of production value and like the cast with like Aaron Paul and Jeffrey Wright and Laura Bailey and Travis Willingham and a bunch of other very talented people. It's a really cool game. It's a really good comeback story for those people who I think their style of game was kind of written off. And yeah, thumbs up. I've been told by my You've Got to Be Kidding Me podcast co-host to say it is game of the year. But it is really, really good. Yeah. It is a very cool game. And yeah, that's it for me.
Okay. So we will now finish off our podcast by going around and literally just simply in a sentence and not much more than that. Award what would have been your own personal game of the year. And I'll rip the band-aid off very quickly and say that there were a couple in contention, but for me, it's Seance of Blake Manor. Let's go in reverse order. Let's go Garrett first this time.
Little boring because I like the for me, you know, game of the year all the time. I like to be like, oh, why is it interesting? But it's Hades 2 because I had the most fun with Hades 2. So it's Hades 2. There's a fun video game that I had fun with, so it's game of the year.
Fun video game I had fun with is a great tagline for their publicity in 2026, I think. Mark.
At the risk of saying Axes, no, I'll say Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Though I got a little bit tired of the what happened to the other 32 expeditions. No, it is.
The arc of this podcast is you becoming the champion of RPGs.
It's genuinely like just a fucking masterclass. It really is.
What did happen to the other 32 expeditions?
They all died.
Spoilers.
And Barry.
I'd have to go Clair Obscur as well. Another boring pick, but it was my number one with a bullet.
And then I feel like paying off the karmic retribution of him always getting fucking shafted when it comes to game of the year. Jack gets the last word on what his game of the year is.
Yeah, it's Ghost of Yotei for me. It looked great. It felt great to play. The story's incredible. The music's incredible. I enjoyed every single second that I spent with it. The side stuff didn't feel OTT. It all felt very natural and it wasn't irritating. It just a fucking great video game, really.
Excellent. Well, gentlemen, I'd like to thank you for spending a bit of this Christmas period trashing out some games with us. I guess unofficially, with 2 votes, Clair Obscur would be our game of the year 2025. If we want to kind of, if we want to kind of force that one in there. But thank you all so much for for checking out Link to the Cast. We will be back next week, whenever that next week is. There will always be a next week, but when that next week is, time
We're
is a
back.
flat circle and all that.
It's almost every week we do a podcast.
Yeah.
Almost every week.
Almost every week. On average, over 10 years, it's almost every week. If you average out, 100%. So from myself, from Mark, from Jack, from Garrett, from Barry, thank you so much. Have a great Christmas, and we'll see you in the new year, where Sean McGee will contrive a way to pick us apart. Still.
Elden Ring Night Rain.
Oh God, yeah, that didn't get mentioned once. We're fucked.
Whoopsie. Whoops.
Oh, okay. Bye. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Bye.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.